HM Productions presents White Devil Podcast.
Tervetuloa White Devil Podcastiin. Minä olen teidän juontajanne Hannu Mäkinen, ja koska vieraani eivät puhu englantia, niin minä vaihdan nyt englanniksi. Once again in English, welcome to the White Devil Podcast. I'm your host, Hannu "TheHande" Mäkinen, and my co-host is the Thunder from Down Under, my Let's Play buddy, and all-around a swell guy. Please welcome RetroKaiser.
G'day, mates. I'm Australian. I don't speak any other fancy languages. I only speak the Queen's English, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. And also we have one guest. Unser Gast hat in meinen Let's Play Videos besuchen. Kann 3 Sprachen sprechen und spricht soviel wie 3 Gäste. Willkommen, unser Freund, the Gaming Beast, Darabka.
Ich spreche so viel wie 3 Gäste. Okay, what's up, guys? Hey, I'm the one and only Gaming Beast.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's pretty much true. I like a little bit of throwing in some other languages here. So
yeah, that would be cool. Brushing up on my very, very rusty German for that.
it's workable. I can understand everything.
Okay,
you know?
good.
Spreche the English?
That's like almost non-existent.
Yeah.
Sprechen Sie Kaiser.
Yeah.
The
Right.
CH sound is hard to pronounce for now.
Sprechen the English.
Oh yeah, there was a joke actually in one of the Uwe Boll movies, House the Dead, I think, where I think Clint Howard says to one of the characters, like, shove off, or don't you sprechen Sie English.
Yeah.
Yeah. So welcome to White Devil Podcast number 16, which is the Darabka Catches Up cast. So what is today's podcast about, really? Of course, we've had a lot of different podcasts, and we, of course, discuss a colorful collection of different kinds of topics on these podcasts. And recently, Darabka brought to my attention that there were several podcasts that had topics that interested him, where he wasn't a guest, and so I thought, well, might as well just gather up all the topics that we've that he wanted to discuss, and let's do a whole podcast where we kind of catch up, and I also get to share some of my thoughts that I've had since we've had those podcasts, and also there's also a chance one of the topics particularly also RetroKaiser wasn't on there. So today we're going to dispense with the bullshit. We're going to go straight for the conversation, so to speak. And we have quite a few topics. I hope we'll get to talk about at least most of them.
Okay.
Yes?
Okay, Hannu, I'll hold him down, you tie up to the chair, then we'll interrogate him. Which one of us is going to be the good cop? Which one of us is going to be the bad cop?
I don't know. I'm not tough enough to be the bad cop. Yeah, but anyway, so we have a bunch of different topics today that we're gonna discuss, and then we'll have a little bit of also some questions that people sent us at the end. But today no introductory segment today, and of course also no match game because obviously we don't have enough people for that today. So we're gonna start with a topic here today, which is very close to my heart, and I've done a lot of videos about this topic as well. And so the first topic we're revisiting today is the topic of video game movies. And we did an entire episode about video game movies, episode 9, which had, as my guest, it had Sendu, T. McBee, Lindsay, Amuya, and Joe particularly. That was a really good podcast. I really liked that. It's actually one of my personal favorites that we've done. And a big part of that was because of Joe. Joe just had a lot of interesting things to say. And you listened to that podcast, didn't you, Darabka?
I enjoyed it highly, and I could just recommend to the listeners to check it out.
Yes.
If you're interested in the topic of movies based off of video games.
Yes, and that's another thing I was going to say at the top of this show. Of course, I have an official site for the podcast on my blog, and I've also been putting some of our podcasts online, and that video game podcast was so good actually that I put it up on my second channel. It's there. You don't have to go necessarily directly to the second channel. You can also check out the playlist on this channel if you're listening to this on YouTube, because obviously this is going to go on YouTube as well. So you can go check that out. But so Also, RetroKaiser wasn't on that cast as well, as you might have noticed from me rattling off the guest list of that podcast. So this is an excellent opportunity for both of you to get to say a little bit say something about video game movies in general, and I'm probably going to be talking about a little bit about the video game movies that are coming in the near future. I don't have the list up for all the different ones that have been said to be coming, but the ones that I know for sure that are coming, I'm going to comment a little bit on those. But I'm going to give you the same courtesy I gave the other guests from the start. So let's start by asking, what are your favorite video game movies? You don't have to mention just one if you don't want to. If you can't really pick one, you can just mention some of your favorites. But Darabka, why don't you go first and just say what are some of your favorite video game movies, or even if you have an absolute favorite, or if you don't, you can say
right. Well, I know you're also a fan of Paul W.S. Anderson.
Yes.
And I think he was he's mostly known now for the Resident Evil series, and at least starting it. I think there was other directors. I have only seen the first two. I know you've seen the other ones, and I do want to see the other ones. I'm just not. I only played the first two games, and I'm still stuck at the second game because I decided to go to play with Leon, which apparently I found out in the first two games, if you play with the guys, that it's harder. But anyway.
Yes.
And I'm like at the point where, well, I could switch. I want to play it with the chicks too, but
Claire Redfield.
Yeah. Anyway, I actually played the first one through with the guy with what's his name? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Chris Redfield, and it was much harder because I think the chick with the beret, she starts out with a shotgun.
Jill Valentine.
Yep. Yeah, and you start out with a knife or something, which is anyway. The point is that I'm going to go back here. My favorite video game related movie is movie based on a video game, live action strictly, is Mortal Kombat. The first one.
Yeah.
Because I felt
also by Paul W.S. Anderson. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's why I started that. And of course, anyway, the point is that I enjoyed the movie, and for me, that was when I saw the trailer. That was one of my biggest when did it come out?
95.
1995. So I was like, I was 13, and I was the perfect age for that movie, and I loved the shit out of it. It was. Some people complain that it wasn't brutal enough, and I do agree. Maybe it could have been a little bit more gorier, but the thing was, they needed to sell it they needed to be able to make it PG-13 so teenagers can watch it.
Yeah, I remember seeing that older hype of that movie when I was about 6 years old, because that was huge, even to kids like me at my age, because we grew up with the excuse me, Super Nintendo version and whatnot. But when I saw there was going to be a movie, I was like, oh man, I'm not going to be able to watch that because that's going to be like rated R or upwards for that movie. That's going to be violent as all hell.
Yeah,
of course, I didn't say oh hell as a kid because I would have got smacked for that.
Yeah. But I just want to say that this movie, like for me, when I like was there when the first video game, big movie based on a video game was released, and that was Super Mario Brothers, and then it was Double Dragon. I think one of the others was. I think it was first Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, Super Mario Brothers.
Yes, and that was a big one too. Like I was excited, but even back then I was like, "What is going on here? What is this nonsense?" Like I wanted to like it, and I thought at first it was kind of cool that they made it because I did like science fiction, and that was kind of a science fantasy story. But it was like where I felt like, why does Yoshi look like a raptor, and why does Mario have a gun? And okay, so he's shooting the fireballs with the gun, and it's like everything has to be.
Yeah.
It's kind of the first time where I was really like, okay, this was one of these adaptations where they tried to make it more not really dark and gritty, but more like work because the guy didn't understand Super Mario Brothers, and it sucked. But
if we stick with Mortal Kombat for like the thing you mentioned, it's it's really a minority who complain about Mortal Kombat's lack of gore, like these very, I would say, but like Mortal Kombat purists, if you will. But generally speaking, everybody even in the fan community seems to enjoy that first movie, and it was definitely like a groundbreaking deal. Like what you said is that the first few video game movies that had come out before that, which were Super Mario Brothers, then Double Dragon, then the Street Fighter movie, had not really. Street Fighter was the only one to even make like any serious amounts of money, but even there the reception was kind of mixed. So Mortal Kombat was the first time. It was an important film for video game to movie adaptations from the point of view that it was the first time that a video game movie got sort of universal recognition in a positive way. So yeah,
exactly, yeah,
and that's also an important movie for me personally because that was actually because I had not played Mortal Kombat before I saw that movie, and that movie is actually what made me a fan of the game series then, because that made me curious about seeing like, okay, what does this movie really pertain to? So that made me seek out.
That is awesome. Yeah. See, that is actually the best thing that a movie based on a video game or any kind of like comic book or whatever, if you're actually interested in the source material because you like the movie, then it did its job, because the point of a movie like this is supposed to boost the sales of the game. And for me, it was like the Mario Brothers movie sucked. Especially I hated the Double Dragon movie, because Double Dragon should have been an awesome movie, but they tried to, it was just like, ugh. Then, okay, the Street Fighter movie, I was really excited because I love Street Fighter. I do enjoy the movie, but the Mortal Kombat movie is much better. But I still enjoy Street Fighter movie. There's a lot of people who will disagree with me on this one. But I enjoyed Street Fighter. There's definitely, it's possible to make a better Street Fighter movie. I don't question that. But I think especially
there is a
after
better
Legend
Street
of
Fighter
Chun-Li.
movie out there, which I'll mention soon.
Don't say Legend of Chun-Li, because then I will smack your face.
Oh, no, why would I say that? No.
The anime movie, there's anime movies that are actually in many ways better. But anyway, so the point is, Street Fighter, I was excited and I loved that movie because you could recognize the characters, even though I was disappointed that Ryu wasn't the main character and how Ken looked. Like, Ken was the worst casting decision. Ryu or Rue or whatever, how you want to pronounce it, was okay. And I was a Van Damme fan as a kid. He wasn't my favorite action hero. Obviously, it was like Arnie and Sly, but Van Damme was like a third. Well, no, he was like fourth, because I would prefer Bruce Lee. But the point is, I still liked Van Damme, and he was definitely one of the better ones.
Okay.
Anyway, so.
But if we keep on the topic of your favorites, so
yeah. But the Street Fighter is one of my favorites. So we have Mortal Kombat. Street Fighter would be, I think, it definitely a second, because I gotta think a little bit now. Other than that, I liked which ones did I like? There's not too many that I like really that much. The Doom film had some promise, but overall was disappointing because they changed too much of the lore for me. And although there was some interesting parts in it, but they should have done it differently. And I think there's still potential to make a good Doom film, although I don't think it will happen, but who knows. And there was the Dead or Alive movie wasn't bad, even though it was I don't like the Dead or Alive series that much. It's an okay fighter series with jiggly boobs. But it's not a bad fighting series. It's just like where I felt like there's so many other fighter games that should have, like Samurai Shodown. That would have been a great movie. But yeah, and what is it? Other than that, I cannot think of
no other definitive favorites. Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter.
I can list many that I hated. But favorites.
Yeah, we'll move to the movies that you didn't like. Next. But I wanted to first ask, like, what were your favorites?
So, yeah, this is basically the anime.
Mortal Kombat seems to be the clear winner in your book, at least.
Oh yeah. I would say that the animated Street Fighter movie, the first one, I did enjoy. I thought it was, because for me that one, I felt like the fights were more appropriate, where they were more like superheroes as they should be. Like they used all of their moves, including their energy moves, and Ryu was the main character. So I did enjoy that one a lot. So, but then again, I cannot think of really other.
Just one thing about you can say whatever the hell you want to as that character's name, because here's the funny part about me as well. I say Ryu as well, and I say it because of the '94 live action movie, because that's where everybody called him Ryu, so that's where I learned Ryu. Okay, but whenever it's any other series, I say Ryu, which is supposed to be the correct pronunciation. But I say Ryu always with the Street Fighter character. When I say Ryu, I mean that. But Ryu Hayabusa, for instance, for Dead or Alive, or Ninja Gaiden, that's how I say it. But yeah, I'm not gonna chastise you on the pronunciation of Ryu, because everyone gets it wrong. And also RYU, like whoever fuck thought that was a good translation of the pronunciation, like it needs to get shot. Because clearly RIU would have made more sense, to me at least.
Yeah. Worse, it could have been ROO, as in Roo, as in kangaroo.
Yeah, but it's not, though. It's not. But anyway, we're moving into etymology, and that's not what this podcast is about.
Yes.
All right. But yeah, we clearly established Darabka enjoyed Mortal Kombat being your personal favorite. I think that movie also holds up really well as an action. It's sort of a fantasy martial arts film, which is kind of cool. You don't see that a lot, especially nowadays, I don't think, at least. And I think it holds up surprisingly well, even with the slightly dodgy special effects. But it was used, at least, where it was necessary. Like
the special effects at the times looked great, because CGI was still very early in development. Now, of course, it's dated as fuck. But back in the day, it was like one of my favorite scenes was the Reptile Liu Kang fight. Like when I was a kid, I loved Reptile, and for me, Reptile was one of the ultimate from the ninjas. He was one of the ultimate badasses because, of course, he's like secret, and his origin in the movie I thought was just awesome because he was literally more of an animal, almost like a raptor. Then Liu Kang throws him into this weird demonic statue that possesses him.
Yeah, that part never really made sense to me, though.
I didn't care. I thought it was just
like how it starts out is a little like what, and then they just kind of hammer the point home through. They have the voiceover say reptile.
I loved that because it was so video gamey, and I didn't give a fuck. It was just like, for me, it was like, yeah, fuck yeah, Reptile, let's get the shit going. And it was just like, they were like, oh yeah, I'm such a tortured soul. Fuck that, I'm gonna beat you up, Liu Kang. That's all I was seeing. So, and then Liu Kang does his
my favorite's always been the fight with Scorpion, especially once they go down to hell, and then he does the fatality move with taking the mask off, and it's just the skull, and then he breathes fire. So
I can't decide. I think the Reptile, the Scorpion Johnny Cage fight is probably my favorite, but I can't decide between that and the Reptile Liu Kang fight, because I will say this: the Scorpion Johnny Cage one has one of the most appropriate fatalities, which is when he basically throws the shield. Yeah, it was Captain America style, and then it chops off Reptile's head.
Actually, he just throws the spear, and then he just slashes him because it's got like a serrated edge, the shield.
Right. Yeah. As a kid already, I remember though, I felt like, well, this would be almost cool. Back in the day, there was no Captain America, at least not a good one. So for me, as a kid, it was like, yes, this. I always think about what they could do with special effects, but anyway, and then there was this fatality, and it was really cool because then a Scorpion explodes, and then you see the signature of Johnny Cage. It was just so appropriate. It was so well done.
Yeah,
and it was really
like
cool that they went to hell.
Just a random photograph with Johnny's signature.
It's so appropriate. It worked so well.
But that's a bit of a mystery still, what that actually signifies. Like, did Johnny have that just like on him when that explosion happens, or was Scorpion such a huge Johnny Cage fan that he just carried a picture of him with him?
You see, that would be even more hilarious.
Yeah,
it wouldn't make any sense.
Has anyone else ever noticed with that movie that once Sonya, spoilers, once Sonya kills Kano, she doesn't actually do a whole lot for the rest of the movie. Yeah.
She doesn't, but that was because I think they just wanted to stick with the core characters from the first game. Yeah. And they didn't want to add all the other guys.
It's just interesting that fight happens fairly early on in the movie, so I always thought man, couldn't they have kind of moved it a little bit further because, I don't know, maybe because they needed to build up for the Scorpion and Sub-Zero and Reptile fights, which were it got increasingly more crazy. Yeah.
I felt like maybe
Okay.
Sonya. I did like the actress who played Sonya. I think she was a good choice, and I did like the fight with
Bridget,
Kano. It was very appropriate that she defeated Kano because that was like this is how it's supposed to be, because Kano is her arch nemesis because Kano did kill her partner. So and she and he's a very twisted individual and everything, and he was great too.
Although of course in the games Kano didn't die, but still, yeah.
No, he did actually die.
I think we've rambled on for Mortal Kombat enough. Let's finally give Kaiser the microphone because we were still talking about all your favorite video game movies. So Kaiser, what is your favorite or your favorites as far as video game movies go?
Well, for me, it's hard to pick a definitive one because I don't actively seek out video game related movies and watch them constantly. I tend to watch them like sporadically, like every time I just watch it. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, but I also tend most of the times I tend to watch video game themed movies is when they're actually on television late night when I can't sleep. And
okay.
Oh, sorry, headphones are falling off on me. But no, there was one night where I couldn't get to sleep, and this has introduced me to I'm going to say this is my favorite one because this is the one I always go back to. Like with a lot of these other video game movies, I don't tend to go back to them. Yep. There was this one late night where they played Highlander 4, followed by Spawn, followed by Street Fighter, the movie.
Game over.
But no, I say Street Fighter, the movie, is actually my favorite. It's like sort of that love-hate relationship because I both love it and hate it at the same time because it's so cheesy and doesn't really have anything to do with like the Street Fighter series, but I must say they got Bison perfect for that movie.
Oh yeah, Raul Julia gave a performance of a lifetime, really. Like he just owns the whole part, really.
Oh yeah, like and they got the costume right too, and his it's very over the top, but I felt Street Fighter should be over the top because for me as a kid it felt like it's pretty much like a Marvel comic book. That's why the crossover with Marvel worked really well, and that's why it's been going on still.
Yeah, well, that kind of goes into if I may kind of segue that into another topic that we were kind of already getting into when we were talking about Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Dead or Alive. That fighting games have traditionally been very popular as the source of adaptations for video game movies, and it's always been a little disconcerting for me because when you look at the video games specifically, well, if you look at the stories in video games, what's usually at the center of a fighting game story?
A tournament.
A tournament,
yeah.
Exactly. So if you're making another movie that has a tournament, what movie are you making? You're making Mortal Kombat again. So that's always been the problem for me when they make fighting game movies. Like, okay, it's okay if they want to do it, and I see why the appeal because there's so many characters you can take and so many different ways you can go with it. But a lot of times I feel that they just kind of default or want to default into that style. And okay, I feel Dead or Alive did a good job of separating itself slightly from, let's say, Mortal Kombat by being much more like humorous and comical, which I felt was also appropriate considering the source material, but it worked in my view. And that's the thing I always like about the live-action Street Fighter movie, and the thing I always hate that other people don't seem to appreciate is that at the least it didn't try to do the tournament thing. At least it tried to do something different. And that's also the thing I also respect about The Legend of Chun-Li as well, that at least it did something else than just do the tournament setting all over again. It maybe didn't work as well as Andrei Bartkowiak would have hoped for, but at least it was something other than that. Because especially when we saw another movie that I just recently reviewed as a special favor to RetroKaiser was the movie King of Fighters, which is another movie that had a tournament setting, and that movie not only did it do the tournament setting, but then it did an exceptionally poor job of just kind of like even trying to find like those pivotal cues from the relevant video games, which is the King of Fighters series, and I guess you could say in the broader sense the whole SNK fighting game family or what product family, whatever you want to call it.
Franchise, yeah.
Franchise, yeah. So that movie was just painful to watch when I honestly could not even recognize most of the characters. I didn't really care what most of them were doing, and then it also tried to sell, so it so desperately tried to sell like this is a serious storyline and these are serious characters with real issues, and like fuck, I don't care who this guy is. This is, because because you need those kind of overstated, the characters have their signature outfits. You should maybe think about having them wear them at some point in the movie, and maybe don't default to that thing. Like another movie that I'm a little, I feel a little uncertain about seeing, but I know I'm probably going to have to at some point is the Tekken movie. But I know that it's going to have the tournament setting again, and I'm a little worried about that. The only thing that I'm honestly looking forward to in that movie is the fact that the villain is played by Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa, who was also the actor who played Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat. But that's about the only thing.
But I haven't. But speaking about other video game movies that I consider some of my favorites, there's another one.
We went off on a different path there, but I would like to ask a little bit. Do you guys feel the same way about that tournament setting as kind of as the center point of a fighting game movie?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I really don't care.
Okay.
As a tournament or not.
All right.
I'm just more looking forward to see how they portray the characters more so.
All right.
I would like to have I would like to say about this is that the tournament setting for me, it's basically not even Mortal Kombat. That's an old thing. It's basically Bloodsport, or Game of Death or whatever. Literally the Bruce Lee movie. Yeah, Enter the Dragon, but also Game of Death when he goes into the tower and fights one guy after the other. For me, that was the basis. The thing about video game movies, they were already based off of movies like Bloodsport and what they usually call the Kumite setting, but the tournament setting it's something that we've seen, and the video games literally just said, okay, we're gonna give you that experience. That's why they have characters that literally are their version of Bruce Lee. Like Liu Kang was their version of Bruce Lee, or Fei Long or something, and Johnny Cage
was
Johnny.
Was
Johnny Cage, he was supposed to be Jean-Claude Van Damme 1-to-1, and the game was
literally
supposed to be
they literally asked Jean-Claude Van Damme to play the character that eventually became Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat.
He wanted to play it, but he wasn't able to because of licensing issues, because he was supposed to be in another game or something like that, which is like kind of really a waste of space.
I wasn't aware that he was in another game. I just thought that he didn't want to do it.
It might have been one or the other.
Yeah.
I think he was over in Universal Soldier, the Time Cop game for the Sega CD.
Yeah, that game was shit. It was basically Turrican 2, but it was a Turrican 2 mod, or whatever you want to call it, where they changed the figures to look like the Universal Soldier. But the point is, I think the reason why fighting games were adapted, because in the 90s, fighting games were the biggest shit ever until FPS games changed that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Definitely.
For me right now, like the King of Fighter movie was just disappointing also, because I did actually watch your review, which was also excellent, because you did get the point where, you were very fair with the movie, but I also felt that, for example, Terry Bogard, for example, he was way too old to play Terry Bogard. And the one time he actually...
give a little... I might have gotten people might have got the impression from that review that I was somehow, overtly familiar with the SNK franchise. Actually, I'm not. I've only played 2 of those games that are even, important to that series. I just did a lot of research for that and tried to find out, what the characters look like and everything. So, yeah. So, go on. You're probably more knowledgeable about SNK than I am.
I'm not the biggest SNK lore master for sure. There's definitely I'm not 100% sure, but the thing is that I do know that Terry Bogard is because he was from Final Fight, and I did play Final Fight, and he was way too old to play it.
Not Final
Fury.
Fatal Fury, sorry. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Final Fight's Capcom.
Yeah.
Although Final Fight characters did eventually make it into the Street Fighter series, fighting games.
Well, actually, Final Fight was supposed to be called Street Fighter 87 or something. It was always canon.
89.
You know that? Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
but,
But
okay, but let's just
anyway,
keep moving. Yep.
the point is that with the fighting game movies, because in the 90s they were popular, so they started adapting, of course, the most popular games at the time, which was Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. And but when the first bad ones came, that basically eventually there's a lot of developers said, okay, we don't want to make a video game movie because it will hurt our sales, which it did with Mortal Kombat Annihilation. So I think we've gotten to a low point because I hear the Tekken movie really sucks. And they tried a couple of other games, but I feel that we need a director, something like who actually played the games and is really passionate about them, and is really to something like what Sam Raimi did for Spider-Man. We need a video game equivalent of Sam Raimi because
That's what
everybody's
I'm
now.
trying to get at, actually, with another one of my favorite video game movies, which was strayed so far from topic from.
Yeah, it's yeah, we definitely strayed. I mean, I do feel a little bit the same that the films would benefit if there was like someone who had like genuine commitment to making like maybe not even just one movie, maybe even a series of movies. But yeah, we kind of drifted off topic, so let's give Kaiser again the mic and talk about like his other favorites. But I thought you were only going to talk about Street Fighter, so that's why
No.
that's why I interrupted you there. Sorry. Yeah. So other favorites.
No,
Yep.
I got two more to mention. They're both
Alright.
Street Fighter movies as well, though.
All right.
You got Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. I actually saw that one when I actually got the Street Fighter collection. That included Hyper, Street Fighter 2, and Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. It also came with like the movie, like not the full uncensored version with the full Chun-Li shower scene, but it was not that I cared about that or anything until I was like a few years older. But no, I just saw that by chance, and I was just amazed by how they actually did that. Like, it wasn't the greatest movie of all to know, but they did get the core right of like them battling in the streets. But then again, that was also sort of thrown to the side as well for like Bison's evil plan. But anyway, I did enjoy that one. I thought it was interesting. Like, but of course, it is interesting that they put in like this whole different story in it to make the movie interesting. If it was about like entire time, as you said, it probably could have been a bit boring. But the third movie I'm going to mention is called Street Fighter Assassin's Fist. Now, this was originally like a TV series, but the version that I watched was edited to be one big long movie.
Oh wait, if we're gonna take that, if we're gonna count that, then I gotta change, because Assassin's Fist. I still need to. I've only seen a couple of it. I still need to finish that. But the same. I don't know if it's the same guys, but other guys have also made another new series, which is Mortal Kombat Legacy. But I didn't count that.
It's the same guys. The same guys that MK Legacy and are doing Assassin's Fist.
Yeah, and they made a second season of Legacy, but the Assassin's Fist is just like people have been going nuts over it, and it is really good. And there's talks about movies and everything, and I think
As I said,
as
I said,
that's a bit of a that's a little that's a bit in that, like, I'm not sure if if that counts as a movie or is it a series. But then again, if it's on the internet, like, is it really? It's neither here or there, so it's kind of difficult. And that's the funny part. The MK Legacy series it actually started off as an attempt to make another Mortal Kombat movie, but because they couldn't get it together, they instead did the web series thing, and then it's gone on from there, obviously.
Yeah. Well, there was a plan. They were working on a third Mortal Kombat film, and then at one point, then it was supposed to be
but if we go back to Kaiser again, like, so about Assassin's Fist, what specifically do you enjoy about that?
I like that it sort of really fleshed out. Oh, sorry, my just a bit sore there. I like that it really fleshed out on Ryu and Ken's backstory with their training days, but they actually did it in a way to where it was very interesting, because they also fleshed out on the relationship of Akuma's and Goken's relationship, and it was actually very interesting. It was like the drama in the series, because it's essentially a drama series, not really all of that an action series, although there is some really good action in there, but it's more of a drama series, and the drama in this one was incredibly strong, really gripping, really got you addicted to it. And the thing is about the movie edition I watched, it actually contains footage that wasn't in like the internet or TV series edition of it. So it has got like what's that? What a word? Maybe I'm just talking to a dead end here, but no, it's got extra footage and whatnot. But what I liked about it is, I already said what I liked about it with the character flesh, and I'm just repeating myself here. But no, but it followed it really well. Like they went through like all the comics, the video game, the movies, because they add in elements from all that. Plus, they add in their own unique elements to it, and it really makes the series special. And also, Hannu, it doesn't revolve around a tournament setting, so it feels incredibly fresh for a video game movie.
All right.
I have heard actually that these guys that made Assassin's Fist, because I did enjoy it. I still need to finish watching it, but I watched both the seasons of Mortal Kombat Legacy and did enjoy those two. But the Assassin's Fist guys also, I mean, I guess it's the same guys, so they said that they're working now they're going to do Street Fighter now as a web series. Because I think web series is like a new kind of format they're trying out because it's lower budget, lower risk. But I hope really that these guys get a shot at a big budget A-list movie.
Ooh, that's also one thing I want to mention. You can tell it's used with a smaller budget, but the budget was not wasted one bit. Like you can tell they were really good with the budget. Like they knew what they were doing, like what to film, how the effects, and the effects were awesome. Because when I actually throw, oh great, now I'm just worried like about spoiling some stuff with Darabka. But when
I know that Goki appears, so I'm not like totally
it's
Akuma,
like when I actually do get effects, like when I actually throw Hadoukens, because I watched behind the scenes, what they actually did was actually like throw a fireball like on a wire. Although they cut the wire out of the video, like the thing, but they actually threw proper fireballs compared to Street Fighter, the movie, the Jungle Venom, when they just did like the hand sign and they just flashed the screen, which was stupid. I did not like that.
That was the most disappointing part of the movie, that they didn't have a proper Hadoken, which is like one of the most signature Street Fighter movies of all time, and I felt like they really cheapened out. Also, Ken's attempt at the Dragon Punch in the movie was really sad, and I was like, no. So it was, if the guys of Assassin's Fist managed to convince the studios, whoever has the rights, I don't know whose cock they gotta suck, but if they can actually get a movie done.
Actually, I think the Street Fighter rights. It's been over 5 years since Legend of Chun-Li, so I think Capcom already like has them again. So
good,
yeah.
That's good. So So if Capcom is smart, then they might consider just hiring those guys and maybe have a consultant director who's got experience, kind of an like a secondary or whatever it's called, get a really good script done, maybe do the tournament setting, but mix it with some other stuff. I would like to see a proper one, but where it would be like, basically, I think I want to just see the characters in their costume fighting each other. I don't care if it's in the tournament setting or not, really, for me.
Oh,
and of course,
and the costumes have to make sense.
The reason, by the way, if people wondering why I'm always going on and on about the tournament setting is that, it's true that when you have a big dumb action movie, the plot necessarily doesn't have to be the best ever. Like for Mortal Kombat, it's a perfectly example. It's all about Liu Kang getting vengeance for the death of his younger brother and also, saving the world, because that's the thing. But I do feel you need a narrative core of some kind, and it has to at least feel genuine. Whereas I think especially if you look at KOF for something, you could just feel that they were just phoning it in. Like, we have these fucking headsets that transport us to an alternate reality where we fight, and if you die in the game world, you die for real, basically. So that whole fucking setup. So in order for me to even care about who these characters are, I do need at least I need the screenwriters to at least show me that they cared at least a little bit, that the characters have some kind of a development arc.
Yeah. I agree.
That's the thing about Assassin's Fist.
Assassin's Feet.
I'm surprised that you haven't slipped Assassin's Creed even once, because the titles are so similar. But okay, yeah, go ahead.
Thing with Assassin's Fit is Assassin's Fit now.
Yes.
the thing is with this movie, I'm just going to say that instead of trying to say the long words again, you can definitely tell that it was made with tender love and care, and that the people that actually worked on it knew what they were doing, knew what the series was all about, and you can tell that they were like fans of it.
Well, the thing is that I definitely agree. What I would like to say is that these web series are a step in the right direction, and I hope that, because it's also, especially also I want to go to Mortal Kombat Legacy that I have watched all. And I have watched, as I said, I watched a couple of episodes of Assassin's Fist, and I will finish it. So I will say the Hadoken effects, the Dragon Punch effects that I've seen, and in general the storyline was really good. Like they actually fleshed them out. But when they
another
did
thing
fight,
I like.
Yep.
I just want to finish quick. When they did fight, it looked really good. So.
One thing I really did like about it too is the costumes. They got the characters designed just right. Like you see them in like their red and white outfits, but it was all done in a way where it made sense. And like at the end of Street Fighter, the movie, when they're all just there randomly. Well, some of the characters were there.
They
had explanations.
Because they went to the Bison gym and they show that the Bison soldiers fought in those uniforms. So that's where Ken and Ryu get their costumes.
I'm talking more like characters like Dalsum.
Yeah,
well, Dalsum was a stretch.
Dalsum's already neither here or there, but like especially like with Cammy and Guile and everyone, those were just the military uniforms and whatnot. It's more like Sagat just keeps taking each layer of clothing off progressively as the fight goes on. So
my problem with Sagat on that movie.
So by the end he's shirtless, but it's kind of like what the hell.
The guy who played Sagat did actually a good job. I think the
the problem I had with him was he was a bit too short and like not as bulky to be Sagat.
Wes Studi's fucking awesome. I love him. I love him in any movie he's in.
He did a good job though. Like I'd rather have somebody who could, because I've seen this guy. What's his name again?
I would love to see him in another movie like more recently, because there aren't a lot of great Native American actors right now. Like
he was excellent in Mystery Man, but that's for another episode.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah. I want. What's his name again?
Wes Studi, yeah.
Wes Studi, yeah. I've seen him in multiple movies. Played like a lot of times he would play villains. But he did a really good job with Sagat. I enjoyed him. He was one of my favorite castings. Yes, he could have been taller, but finding an actor that fits physically perfectly and also can act the character is always a challenge. I mean, that same challenge they had when they were casting for the first Superman movie. Like, they had guys with the right physique and the right look, but couldn't act worth shit. And then they had great actors that would never look appropriate as Superman, and then and they would offer it to pretty much every A-list actor they could, and nobody accepted. And Christopher Reeve at first he auditioned and he didn't get the part because they said he's too skinny. And then he went to the gym, and guess who trained him? David Prowse. So basically, Darth Vader trained Superman. There you go. That's the reality.
All right. Okay, well, I think we can wrap up the part of favorite video game movies, and my favorites, of course. If you haven't listened to the podcast, I'm not going to go into this deeply. I'm just going to say very quickly what my favorites were, because I talked about them more in the actual podcast. My personal top three has always been Resident Evil, Hitman, and Silent Hill. And if you want to extend it to a top five, Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter are definitely in there. So, but yeah, I've those three movies I think are like in their own respective ways kind of good groundbreakers, for various reasons. I always liked the first Resident Evil very much as a kind of an audio visual experience. It's a great looking movie, great sounding movie. I really it's just my jam. It's the best way to say it. But I like the Resident Evil movie series in general, but I won't go into that too much. Hitman, I think, was a great movie from the point of view that it finally took a video game movie and planted into a somewhat like a real world setting, as opposed to kind of like a sci-fi, horror setup, which again is another area where I think too many video game movies have gone, or like a super fantasy kind of scenario. So that's the thing. I felt it was a really earnest, hard-hitting movie, and that's what I always enjoyed about it. And then Silent Hill, I think is the best written video game movie. I think the story is amazing. It's also visually really gripping and disturbing on many levels. But that's like the where I think video game movies have gone when they're at their best writing wise. But it saddens me that since those movies have come out, like even Hitman, there's been quite a few years since that there hasn't been. I don't think in those particular areas there haven't been movies that have even that haven't managed to push it even further in those regards. So those are the I don't know what the word is, the outliers, the in my view, like the best possible examples of what you can do with a video game movie. But I kind of wish that that people would even take it further, hopefully in the future. We can talk about why that might not be the case later on. But let's now move on. We talked about your favorite video game movies. I want to now ask, what are your least favorite video game movies? Before we move on, what is Kaiser about to say?
I forgot one movie I had to add to the list of favorite video games, but I'm not sure this is like a complete answer, but I just want to say Wreck-It Ralph, and just...
Okay, Wreck-It Ralph, yeah. Wreck-It Ralph's good. Okay, but least favorites, so, Darabka, what is your, either your absolute least favorite or some of your least favorites?
Okay.
And try to limit yourself a little bit. We only have so much time.
Exactly. Yeah. This is the really depressing part of video game movies. It's hard to find good ones, but it's so easy to find bad ones. Also, I want to say Wreck-It Ralph was really cool, but neither here nor there. I hate Uwe Boll pretty much. I hate the Alone in the Dark movie because it had pretty much nothing to do with Alone in the Dark. And guess what? They're never alone in the dark. They're always a fucking team of SWAT guys. And I'm like, Argh! And I'm like, they couldn't have based it off the first game, and then, because that one was set in the early, and it was like a Cthulhu-based movie. It was set in the early 20th century, and it was like really creepy and stuff. And it was so disappointing, and he didn't get the concept at all. Like he said, there weren't enough car chases, or something like that. So it's like,
I just recently did a commentary for Alone in the Dark on my second channel.
Yeah.
Yep.
I want to also say, because Blood Rain I disliked too a lot, but at least, I don't know, it was still dumb as fuck, but I don't know, like, at least I could recognize, like, I never even played the Blood Rain games, and I remember seeing the trailer and I disliked it already because of fucking, what was it, Michael Madsen with his mullet. That was the dumbest shit ever, and his acting was just he didn't give a fuck. He just wanted to have his paycheck. In the Name of the King, Dungeon Siege Tale was actually one of his better ones, but I still felt it didn't have the look and feel and of the game. But I will accept that was one of his better ones. Of course, the sequel ruined it. But I think probably the two biggest disappointments in general that I had, where I had legit, because with Uwe Boll, like, you didn't have any expectations, But really, Max Payne could have been a great fucking movie, and they should have gotten just John Woo, really, literally, to make the movie. And it was such a disappointment. I hated it. I hated that they cast Mark Wahlberg. I think he didn't fit the character. Action scenes, the slow-mo action scenes.
By the way, just in case people get confused, like Uwe Boll didn't do that one, but still, yeah.
No, he didn't, but it sucked ass. And the worst thing that I hated is that when they took the drug, that they saw like the unnecessary like Valkyr demon thingies, because we need to put in some CGI or some shit like that. No, you don't. In the Max Payne, there was references to Norse mythology, but you never actually saw any kind of, because in the trailer it looked like he's fighting demons, and it was so stupid because
it looked like a sequel to Constantine when I saw the trailer.
The thing is that exactly, yeah. The thing about the Doom movie, they removed all the satanistic and devil and demon references, and then they put them in Max Payne. I'm like, no. In Doom, we should have needed more they and stuff like that. Well, technically they did have, but it wasn't how it was supposed to be. And Doom was also disappointing, but at least they still got to have a lot of the iconic monsters in there, and it was disappointing, but it wasn't as much of a kick in the balls because it still felt a lot like the third game, which they based it off. It still could have been much better, but it was at least where I felt like, well, okay, at least I can recognize it as Doom, and it was okay, you know, like, but fucking Max Payne was just, I loved Max Payne, and they just fucked it up. Street Fighter Legend of Chun-Li, A Second Chance, and that one was just like, I agree with you. I think in one part it wasn't a bad thing that they didn't focus on they didn't have the tournament, but it just felt like they didn't know what they were doing. Like they were ashamed about being Street Fighter because they never had.
I think that movie's just overwritten. I think a lot. They just went out of their way to explain things that didn't need to be explained, and also they dragged it out unnecessarily. So, and my biggest gripe, I could maybe forgive everything else if Bison at least looked like himself, but he doesn't. He's just.
Oh my god, he was so boring, so boring. Like, do something. Yep. Oh, I'm an evil rich white guy who can punch really hard.
Like, I was actually like, I was okay with the concept of making it about Chun-Li, because, you know, Chun-Li is one of the, I think, one of the more interesting characters from Street Fighter mythos. So it's a bit of a shame that one didn't work out. By the way, that one was directed, of course, by the director of Doom, Andrei Podkoviak. I think he was just the wrong director for that movie as well, because like you said, Doom, actually a very entertaining movie if you just look at it as a dumb action movie. It's very entertaining. But
but it should have been more of a dumb
tell he's not a master of the, he's not a master of meaningful storytelling. Like, you can tell this by the fact that his most well-known movie is Romeo Must Die, the Jet Li.
Oh my god. Okay, that one I remember. I saw that in the movie theaters, and that was a big deal because that chick who wasn't there, she died very early in her life. She was in the Vampire Interview with a Vampire sequel. But I don't even know the title anymore. But yeah, Romeo Must Die wasn't
Queen
bad.
of the Damned.
Queen of the Damned. I didn't see that one. But the point is with Doom, I agree with you. That wasn't my point because Doom is kind of a dumb action movie. Even the third one, that one is more like Aliens, but it's more of a survival horror one. So I felt like that wasn't the problem. The problem is that suddenly the Space Marines looked like Space SWAT, and because originally they said that they didn't want to have it set on Mars, but then the fans complained, and then they basically did it on Mars. But they said that the aliens, so the demons, were changed to aliens who basically found the evil genes. So they made it into Resident Evil, where I felt like, no, it has to be fucking aliens with fucking horns and hellfire and cyborg arms and all this shit. If you're not gonna commit fully to the setting, also the main
exactly. That was another that was definitely one problem with Doom. Okay, so you've what do we have? We've covered Legend of Chun-Li, Max Payne, pretty much every Uwe Boll movie.
Pretty much, yeah. I will give him that. I'm gonna throw him a bone here. The first Dungeon Siege movie.
Okay.
Is okay. It's
any other ones you want to discuss?
Oh my god, like Postal was dumb, but to be fair, the game Postal is not and they did say they based it off the first one more than the second one, and I was always more familiar with the second one, but it didn't have really a story. It's like literally you're just some dude who goes postal and starts shooting people, and I felt like, making a movie based on that's right, we need a movie based on Postal. Like, we cannot have one based on Zelda or Metroid, or fucking, like, I don't know, Shadow of the Beast, or some shit like that, or one of the A-list ones. No, we need one based on Postal, like the game where you literally go around and shoot people. That is gonna be
okay. Any other ones you want to discuss, or can we move on?
Wing Commander. Oh my god, I'm looking at the list now. I gotta say about Wing Commander. I was so disappointed because I was excited in general, just because also there hasn't been a real like space sci-fi movie in a long time. And I was excited for that when I was younger, and I was familiar with the game somewhat. So I was excited, but it just was so fucking boring. And it didn't feel like, it just was so bad. They ruined it. Like, for example, the big aliens, the evil aliens in the Wing Commander series, are these humanoid lion people. And they fucked that up too, where they just made them look bad. And the special effects and in general, the casting was the worst. Freddie Prinze Jr. and Matthew Lillard So it was basically Shaggy and what's the other guy from Scooby-Doo?
Freddy.
They both
Freddy.
played. It was Freddy and Shaggy in space, and I'm like,
Well, that
go
was
fuck
that was the name
yourself.
of my review of that movie, by the
Yeah,
way.
exactly. That's why I mentioned that, because it was a great review of that. It's Freddy and Shaggy in space. I was like, yes, I'm gonna like go watch that. Whoever's listening, go watch that review, because this is like basically saying it how it is. This movie
Also
could
had
have been
Jürgen
so much
Prochnow.
more.
Also had Jürgen Prochnow in it, who was also in House of the Dead.
Yeah, Jürgen Prochnow is like Hollywood's guy. Oh, we need an evil German guy. Let's get Jürgen Prochnow.
Yeah, I feel bad
House
for
of the
him. I feel
Dead.
bad for him because he's such a good actor. Actually, I really like him. So I always feel bad that he's just stuck playing these meaningless like B roles in like movies nowadays. So yeah.
Yeah, sadly, yeah.
Jürgen Prochnow really is the only reason to watch House of the Dead if you want.
I still haven't seen that one because I haven't been
I've
ready
I've also done a commentary on that. I did commentaries intentionally on the first three Uwe Boll video game movies because I kind of consider those three to be their kind of I like to call them the Uwe Boll horror cycle, and that not just because the movies are horrible, but because they're also all supposed to be horror movies of some description. So that was the whole thing, and yes, I finally completed the cycle finally by doing Alone in the Dark. So I did those kind of out of order at first.
I gotta watch that one too. Like, so, oh my god, Alone in the Dark.
Speaking of House of the Dead,
yeah,
I've got the edition called the Funny Edition, where they put all these pop-up, quirky comments over the movie, and the movie actually opens up with terrorists kidnapping Uwe Boll and demanding ransom for him. Or no, they kidnap him because he made all those terrible movies, and they torture him by forcing him to watch his own movies.
Yeah. Uwe Boll has made a living now of basically living, being like the reason why he makes these movies is because he gets a tax break basically, and I feel that I don't know, like he's now living and he's like playing with the idea that he's like the shittiest one of the he's saying I'm the Ed Wood of the new generation or something.
Yeah, that's the thing is like
Didn't he also do the Far Cry movie as well?
Yeah, he did. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. That's the last one that I've seen from him. It was after Postal. And
yeah, because I remember what was it? He has like a special like funding thing like back those years ago. Who was actually won by Screw Attack, Handsome Tom, and starring Craig back when they were together. I make them sound like a couple. Well, they were. No,
they kind of were like in a bromance, but they broke up a long time ago.
Yeah, that's how old it is. But no, they're talking about that, and their prize was they actually got to be in the movie, and unfortunately, the scene they were in got cut.
I got the DVD of that. I gotta see if it's in the extras somewhere.
They play two scientists in the
yeah, I remember hearing about that.
I haven't seen the Far Cry movie yet, but it's
really dumb. I'd say on the entertainment factor, so bad it's good. Let's say it's on the same level as House of the Dead. So, you can laugh at it. It's that kind of movie. So yeah. Right.
Far Cry. I think with Far Cry, like I don't know, the only Far Cry game I want to see as a movie is Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. Because Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon is pretty much like that should be a movie, like
all right.
That's yeah.
Do you still have movies you want to talk about?
Or
do you want to finally give Kaiser the mic?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll just stop here because I could talk about the sequels to In the Name of the King, but we'll just not go there. Yeah.
Right. That's Great. That's another thing we should have considered of doing this podcast. The fact that you and Darabka won't shut up. Because I know when you... never mind.
All right, Kaiser. It's your turn now. So what are some of your least favorite video game movies?
One has to be Bayonetta Bloody Fate, which is based on the Bayonetta video game series. The opening premise was actually good. It had a lot of promise, like she had to go over to this place to, to stop these bad guys, and had some good action scenes. The ending was also good. Some really crazy stuff going on. But the problem I have with the movie is everything that happens in between, because it's just flat out boring and uninteresting.
All right.
Where
I haven't seen that one. I didn't see a review of it. I didn't see the movie, but I did see a review of it.
Possibly my most controversial review that I've ever released, actually.
All right.
Yep. Yeah, and the thing is, there's actually not that much to talk about that movie.
Yeah, so
because there's nothing interesting about it. Well, the center of it, the beginning and the ending.
I didn't
right
actually say it, but I'm not actually a huge fan of that animated Street Fighter movie. And generally, like, I don't, I'm always very, very skeptical about the anime add-ons to those video games, or quote unquote anime movies based on video games, because well, Sonic the movie was okay. I didn't like Street Fighter 2 the movie. I know there's one for Tekken, and I'm not sure there's a few others that I don't.
There's one for Samurai Showdown, which I've got on videotape, and apparently the videotape, or the edition I've got, is incredibly rare.
There's a bunch of like one-offs from like shorter one-offs from the SNK games. I know that much. But so what are the other video game movies that you didn't enjoy? Sorry for cutting you off there.
That's a thing. I really can't say much. Darabka's said a whole majority of them.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Is there one specifically that you want to talk about?
Yes, and that's Street Fighter the movie. As I said, I have a love and hate relationship for it. It's both my favorite and one of my least favorite movies as well.
Okay.
So yes, Street Fighter the movie is like my abusive boyfriend. That's all I'm saying.
Did you know? Did either of you know that the guy who wrote and directed that movie was the screenwriter for Die Hard?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Stephen E. D'Souza, and and he. One of the reason I think that's part reason why the movie is like that it is a hostage situation, just as in Die Hard. So he was kind of basing it on his previous writing tradition, but he wanted badly to do that movie. So he actually the story that he told was that I think I might have told the story on the podcast previously, but is that Capcom executives were in LA for a couple of days. A producer friend of his tipped him off that, hey, they want to turn Street Fighter into a movie, and D'Souza really liked Street Fighter. Apparently it was his favorite game to go and play in the arcade with his son. And then he was told that, well, they're here, but they're here for only, they're going to leave like tomorrow. And so D'Souza had to pull an all-nighter, write the initial script of the movie, and present it, and that's how he got it for that. So yeah, that's kind of that's how that movie came together.
With that said, he did awfully well for doing an all-nighter.
Yeah, I'm sure they worked on the script a little bit later as well. Like, I'm sure it wasn't like just the first draft. They didn't just do the first draft and then let it go. But yeah, but I think especially like the central plot setup, if you're wondering like where that came from, that probably was part of the reason that he basically, that's the movie he pitched based on that script that he wrote overnight. So all right. So is there something specifically about Street Fighter you wanted to say?
Well, I've said most of them, like the weak Hadouken, or special effects, the weird costuming, which the story a little bit, but there's also a lot of stuff that I did like about that movie too, which I think I went over. I'm not sure if I did or not, but anyway, I don't want to drag this out for too long.
Okay.
Just gonna end it there.
Well then, we've talked about already we've touched upon quite a few things about what can go wrong with a video game movie. And one that I talked about in the first podcast was this phase that I feel a lot of video game movies would benefit from when they're doing like during the production, if they had this. And I think that it's lacking is is a phase where they see if once they've got the script, once they've cast the actors, and once they're starting to get like all the pre-production-y things done, they should what they should really check is this still invocative of the game? Does it invoke the game that it's based on? And especially with something like King of Fighters, I feel that's where they went awry. Is that they didn't take the time, that they had the script, they had the story, they had the cast, and they probably knew already where they wanted to shoot it all, but then they didn't stop to think, okay, does this still feel like King of Fighters? And that's the big problem with it, because they had like people like Ray Park on that movie, for instance, who's a legit martial arts guy who knows his stuff. He's done tons of movies before and he's really good at that. But they didn't stop to think about, well, he doesn't really look like the guy or anything like that. So
I'm looking at the list of movies and I'm forgetting some good ones, which I want to talk about after we're done with this.
Okay, well, yeah, all right. Uh, so that's one part where it can go awry. The other part I think where it can go awry is that it's just basic like movie stuff, like pacing, how what the story is about. Does the character dynamic work within the film? And my least favorite video game movies, for obvious reasons. Um, Alone in the Dark is a bad one. I think its biggest problem, though, is that it's actually just really, really boring, and that none of the characters are relatable, and nothing really interesting happens for much of the movie. And a big part of it, I talked about this also in the commentary, is that opening text scroll, which pretty much spoils the surprise of the movie, if you will. Like even by taking that out, it would have been a much better movie. But even so, it's not a great. It's still a bad movie. Like I'm not gonna defend it that much. But that's just not making you like actually care about the characters. This is something I probably mentioned already. Postal is, in my view, though, the worst of the Uwe Boll movies, and it's really I mean, Postal is an offensive game to begin with, but I feel like with that movie, Boll just wanted to offend people. He just went out of his way, and it ended up, of course, biting him in the ass, probably for the first time ever, because that I think is where Boll's career finally kind of took, a massive nosedive. Because what happened with Postal, if you don't happen to remember this, is that it was supposed to get, in the States, a national release. And then just a few weeks before the movie was supposed to come out, like every theater chain decided that they were not going to show the movie. And Boll had to go, and I think he got like 8 theaters to show it. But like that was like the first like really massive blow to him. I would say, because that up till that point he'd kind of been writing that I'm a terrible director thing. Intentionally, but Postal is where it kind of went down. And that's why you don't hear, I don't think you've heard, this is why I don't think people have been even talking about Uwe Boll for a long time, because after Postal, it was like, who cares anymore? It's
Yeah.
But honestly, that movie just makes me feel shitty when I watch it. So that's the reason. Like all of these other movies, they're bad, but I can kind of laugh at them. I can enjoy them, and actually, In the Name of the King, I would say is his best movie. But Postal, I just feel like a terrible person whenever I watch it. So, even the intention for that film is just man, it's just bad. But then there's like other things, and this is where I think the lack of commitment, at least like doing the thing seriously, is the movie Mortal Kombat Annihilation, the sequel to Mortal Kombat.
Oh, yeah,
That's
I didn't mention
that.
Oh,
A bit of
that
an
was
outlier because
terrible.
I think that was just an exceptionally sloppy movie made by a director who has not directed anything since because, he wasn't a director to begin with. He was a director of photography, and he kind of graduated to that position when Paul W. Sanderson went off after the first Mortal Kombat and wanted to do other things.
Let's just say, after that movie, his directing career, well, fatality.
Yep.
Yeah, it finished his career. Yeah,
Yep.
but the thing is, like, you have to kind of, even for 1996, you have to look at it and think, like, what group of sane people thought that this movie looked at all passable? Like, God damn it. It's like so, and that's why another problem.
I remember watching it back in the day, thinking it's like, this is just a darker episode of Power Rangers.
Oh my God, Annihilation! It's amazing that I haven't mentioned that, but I think because my brain has like just said no, because that one, I would say probably even more. I was more disappointed because they ruined one of my favorite characters, like the Cyrax and Smoke, who suddenly has no rockets, and they tried to stuff it. What they tried to do is they tried to adapt Mortal Kombat 2 and 3 and a little bit of 4 into one movie. Way too many characters.
Well, 4 wasn't out when they made the movie, though. But
yeah, but they did have Shinnok, so they probably
but
knew.
Shinnok's from Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, so he's part of Noob Saibot's backstory. So
he's mentioned, but he's not as a character.
I know it seems like that, but it's actually. I'm surprised that they picked up on that because that's a rather obscure part of like
Yeah,
Mortal Kombat mythos.
I had no idea about that. Actually.
Yeah. It's in Noob. Shinnok is first mentioned in like that.
That's true. Yeah.
And it's weird that they picked up on that and they rolled with it as the idea that Shinnok is the dad of Shao Kahn and Raiden, and there's that whole there's that whole thing going on. So it's weirdly knowledgeable about certain Mortal Kombat things while completely like fucking things over. Yeah, the big problem I think is that it had an overbloated cast. Like there were too many characters and they didn't give any of them like enough time to do anything interesting. So yeah, it's getting to the point where they just mention Stryker and Cabal like in the they just in one line of dialogue in the whole movie, and they never show them, for instance. So yeah, they were just kind of.
Oh yeah, that pissed me off because Stryker, okay, fine. They could have like have him at least pop up and be like just killed or something. But Cabal would have been also a visually cool character, at least as a villain or like as a one of the guys, because he had like his swords and his super speed and his that he could shoot like the energy bolts out of his eyes, and there would have been just a lot of they could play with special effects. I hated Baraka. Baraka looked like a freaking, I don't know. He looked almost like a toad that got legs. He just looked stupid. And oh my god, they did Shiva, and then they had literally the cage from Baraka fall on her because they didn't have time to film the fight. I'm like, go fuck yourself. Also, Mutaro for some reason has hair now, which made him look goofy, and
well, he had a human face, whereas he doesn't in the game. But I thought Motaro was about the only thing I liked about that movie. I thought he looked pretty cool. But yeah. But MK Mortal Kombat Annihilation is a little unusual in that it's a theatrical movie with that level of slop, because that's something you usually see straight to video, which is why I'm still like stunned at that movie even got a theatrical release. But usually and Uwe Boll just doesn't give a fuck. But there's another problem is that KOF business is a good example of what can go wrong. Is that I think just the filmmakers not caring about the source material and just going like the easiest possible route to get the movie done, and that I think is a huge problem. I felt really disappointed with something like when that's the kind of attitude you see in a lot of these let's say ones that don't come out of major studios, kind of these offside, these what am I trying to say? Off-center, smaller movie studios doing their stuff, and like especially like something like Super Mario Brothers, where they just get it where it goes like completely berserk, where it's no longer really evocative of the video game itself. Because all right. Was there something, Kaiser, you wanted to mention still about video game movies?
Yeah.
Yep.
2 video game movies that I completely forgot about that I really do enjoy. The first one was the Need for Speed movie that came out last year.
All right.
Yeah. What that movie was is, it's like, what they did with it, like, they added that story of, like, a dude out to get revenge, which was, I actually think they took the story, sound like a deck there. They actually took elements for the story from the other Need for Speed video games and sort of combined them into one, because I did recognize that. But the thing that I liked about it the most was it actually focused, like, when it wasn't focusing on the story, it was actually focusing on the racing. And the racing in this movie was just playing great. Like, they used actual cars for all the stunts and whatnot, so it looked phenomenal. So no CG. And the icing on the cake for those car scenes that I really enjoy.
Actually, yes, this was one of my main regrets that you weren't on the original Video Game Movies cast, because I wanted to talk about Need for Speed with you, because we both reviewed that movie. And I noticed that we both did enjoy it. I wouldn't say that it's a great video game movie. Like,
no, I wouldn't say it's great. It was definitely a movie that was a lot better watching in the cinema. With all the big sound effects popping through all the speakers, you can really feel the
But what I found was interesting was that we ended up praising the completely opposite things about that movie, because as I recall, you didn't really like the characters at all in that movie.
No, I thought they were a bit stiff.
Yes, and ironically, I didn't really like the racing scenes. I didn't think that they were really shot that well. I honestly felt like they were just. It looked like they just picked like the wrong camera angles. Like the cars didn't look like they were going fast. It honestly seemed most of the time that they were just kind of going a little slowly most of the time. And it's weird. I like the characters enough. I'm not saying that they were great or anything, but I liked them enough that I kind of related to them, and that's why I was able to go through that movie cared. But especially like with the racing scenes, another problem was that the other racers were just kind of anonymous. They were just these nobodies. Oh, and what about?
To be fair, that's like in the video games as well.
Yeah. What did you think about Michael Keaton in that film?
Michael Keaton was in that. Oh my god, now I gotta see it.
Yes, he was.
It was a kind of
I thought it was like
just the racist, but he's like just sitting in this like lighthouse and he's commentating on everything that's going on. So he's not like part of the story, but that's
I felt a bit. It's just like the announcer that you hear like get ready to race like on this. But I thought he was actually a real decent character.
Everything that was going on, like it was kind of a cheap cameo.
He added some.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought he added some life to the characters.
Yeah, I felt like even though as cheap of a cameo as it was, it was all through the movie, but still as cheap of appearance as that was, I think he just added a lot of like wonderful cheese factor to the film. I think he was one of the highlights of the movie for me personally.
I did think it was a bit of a tease that he didn't interact with any of the other characters, like especially towards the end.
It felt a little.
I thought it was a big deal. It's like, I thought like they were gonna make it like to the end. Then I thought he was like gonna congratulate them.
Although
and, like,
wasn't it, or did I imagine it, or didn't they kind of at the end when the good guy and the bad guy they crashed their cars? Wasn't it just outside the lighthouse where he was commenting on it, or?
It was.
Yeah, exactly.
It was, and that's what I felt was such a big tease. I was expecting him to come, like the whole point was him to come out of the door and congratulate the winner because it was the finals as well.
Yeah.
I was like, why didn't they do that? That's
exactly.
such a big tease.
Yeah, that's a lost opportunity. What was the other?
No, another thing I liked about Need for Sorry, one more thing. The thing that I really liked about Need for Speed is the locations actually did look like they were from the video games.
Oh yeah, but that's definitely one of the things that somebody who has played the games can enjoy versus someone like me who hasn't. So
I only played the first three, especially the third one and the first one.
You played the best. You played the best ones, Darabka.
Yeah, like I never got really into the later Need for Speed games. I played Need for Speed Porsche. Okay, that's like the only other one. So that was
when the Need for Speed series was getting all those weird spin-offs.
There wasn't really a story to the old Need for Speed games. I know in the later ones they did, but in the old ones it was just you're driving your car, you're getting away from the cops. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So it's the racing game, but where they added cop stuff to that.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool back in the day, I thought, at least.
All right, Kaiser, did you have one more movie you wanted to talk about?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
It is the Phoenix Wright movie, Ace Attorney, the movie.
I didn't even know that there was one. It's animated, isn't it?
Oh, no, it's live action.
Really?
Yes, it was. And all I can say about the movie, it's exactly like the video games. Just look at the games, and seems like they just copied it over into a live action movie, and it worked like a charm.
All right. Who did that? So I have not heard anything about it.
It was done by Takashi Miike, who's famous for doing movies such as Ichi the Killer, Audition, all this gruesome stuff. Like, this is definitely his most lighthearted,
really
or one of his most lighthearted. I know, because I never expected him to like do something so lighthearted like this.
Ichi the Killer was like a sick movie. Like, maybe he needed a break too. Like, oh man, I've been doing all these really dark and gritty and like gory movies, so like I need something too.
It's weird because he did like all these dark horror movies, then he sort of like he's like all these like more lighthearted live action movies. Action live action. So
action live action.
So when was this made?
I forget. This is possibly a few years ago. I know they're filming the sequel for it, or the sequel. It's just come out in Japan.
That movie, as far as I understand, it was a Japan-only movie, I think. But I've seen a little bit of it. I've seen a trailer of it. And I don't really care for the Ace Attorney movies. I mean, I haven't played one yet. I know kind of what they're about. But I need to give it one day a go, one of the games. But
okay. 2012 release.
Yeah.
It was distributed by Toho. This is really
I know
interesting.
It was released. I know.
I'm surprised they haven't like pushed this out on like anywhere yet.
Well, I think they just thought that it would only sell well in Japan. So, and I guess
it got an official release in Australia. That's how I got my hands on it.
I want to say this about Japan: when they adopt like anime, like live action anime or video games, they really commit to. Usually, they commit to the craziness, and that they took the craziness of Ace Attorney and they went 1-to-1. This is like I respect that a lot, and I feel that there's some movies that I'm interested in watching. They actually made a Battleship Yamato live-action movie that looks amazing.
Oh, I missed out on it. That was on TV the other night actually, and I forgot to tape it.
They also worked on they are working now. I've seen a trailer for Attack on Titan live action movie, which looks really cool. I'm just really curious on how the fight scenes are gonna look like. Like I really hope they can get the special effects right.
But I think we've talked for long enough about video game movies. I think we need to take a little break.
I like a big and a pizza pie.
We are back after that little break. Let's talk a little bit more about video game movies. Darabka, did you have something you wanted to discuss?
I wanted to talk about future movies that are in development.
Me too as well.
So great, yeah. So one movie that they have announced, and they have actually, for me, it's like, okay, I don't believe this movie is going to come out until the point where I actually see some kind of imagery or trailer, and it was the Warcraft movie. And I have not played the MMO really, but I did play the strategy games, the first and the third one. And I'm kind of excited because actually the orc that they shown, I'm not that familiar with the Warcraft lore, but the orc that they showed actually looks like in the game. So they're going with full CGI for that, and well, it's not going to be full CGI movie. It's like the orcs are going to be CGI.
Yeah.
I think now CGI has gotten to this point where we can do this.
Yeah, the thing is, I've heard about that Warcraft movie as well, but I already heard about it last year, and I think they were then already talking about it, that it wasn't going to come out until 2016, which made me very kind of uncertain. Because that's the thing about it. People are always saying, like, so-and-so is becoming a movie, and then it never happens. So
exactly, yeah.
Video game movies, it's more true for video game movies, I feel, than anything else. That people are always really quick to say, oh, so-and-so is getting a movie now. So, but it's usually...
Yeah, they have announced already many movies, but I think Warcraft is they have been filming, or they already finished filming. The Warcraft movie is definitely in development. I've seen imagery, pictures of the director, and they have released pictures of the characters.
If they're already shooting it, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen then. So.
Oh, yeah. That one is happening. What I'm seeing here is next movies, Ratchet and Clank. I know, like, it's in its tail time. They like it a lot. I know it exists. That's it.
They've had to push it back a little bit. So I think it was supposed to come out for the summer, but now I think it's coming out like on the end of the year. So yeah, that's something that I'm personally like also looking for. I'm going to go see it just because I want them to finish the Sly Cooper movie, because I'm actually more interested about that one.
Yeah. That one is also announced for 2016, but we'll see what happens.
That was the thing that made me very uneasy, the fact that they announced them like back to back like that, because I knew immediately, like, if Ratchet and Clank is gonna bomb, then they're probably not gonna do the Sly one. But they've been like teasers out for it for a really long time now, so that's kind of.
All I can say is I'm more of a Jack and Daxter fan myself personally.
I mean, if those movies do well, then Jack and Daxter has a chance of becoming a movie. So
have I completely fallen off the boat? But isn't Jack more or less like a dead IP right now? Like, nobody's doing a game out of it.
I don't know, because I haven't played any of those modern platformer games with those characters.
Yeah, but I didn't like. Did Naughty Dog like sell that off to somebody, or have they just not been doing anything with it? Because what's the last game? Kaiser, what's the last game that came out of that series?
Jack and Daxter HD Collection.
Yeah. No new games.
Yeah. So apparently an Angry Bird movie is coming out there. I couldn't care less.
No!
Yep.
Where's the Worm movie?
We'll have an Angry Bird movie before we'll have like a Zelda movie or a Metroid.
Well, that's that'll be the second Finnish game that'll ever have had a video game movie adaptation.
Oh, there you go. I forgot that it's a Finnish game.
Yeah, the first one being Max Payne, of course. So let's hope it was a little better this time around.
But Max Payne is an awesome game, by the way.
But that's
we gotta thank here Finland for Max Payne right now. So
yeah.
I'm a fucking idiot right now because I realized I said no for the Angry Birds movie, yet I realized that I'm actually a fan of those games.
I haven't played Angry Birds. I know my nephew liked it a lot. I know other people that I know liked it a lot. And the guy's trying to make a whole media franchise around that.
I am worried that it might end up being like that Rayman spin-off that got turned into a cartoon series, the Raving Rabbids. I'm worried it's going to be annoying like that. That's what I am worried about.
I think
I don't know much about I've heard about the Angry Birds movie, but I don't really know much about it. So, yeah.
So also here's Uncharted, and that one was announced now. It says June 10th, 2016, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Because that's the same day Warcraft is supposed to come out. So, and Warcraft is definitely, like, that one I said, yeah, that one will happen.
Yeah, the Uncharted movie, I've heard a lot about that, and the guy who's producing it is also pushing heavily for a Metal Gear Solid movie. We talked about this in the previous podcast, and that they have a script for the MGS movie, but they still haven't attached a director. So I'm thinking that's going to be a similar deal, that they're gonna like maybe wait until and see like how the Uncharted movie is gonna do.
Yeah. Although you can't really compare Uncharted to Metal Gear Solid. I mean, to be fair, I haven't played either, but I know enough of them to know that. But well, yeah, we'll see. Maybe
the Uncharted one, I think, because it's so popular now, because it's the game that's really popular now. That's why they're making the movie out of it. Then MGS definitely has a bit more, like, let's say, name value and history behind it. But I think they're like, Hollywood's a little wary of those kinds of properties now. So I think that they want to wait for. I think they're gonna wait until the Uncharted movie comes out before they make any concrete plans about MGS. So
I don't
want to. So I'm not holding my breath yet. I would kind of want to see it. I do. Kind of want to see it. Yeah.
We need one movie that one video game movie that really is a huge success. Like I have heard the Prince of Persia movie wasn't bad, but. And that it did a good amount of money.
Do you mean like financially successful?
Well, I'm looking here at the list of movies, and the Prince of Persia one, also if you consider the valuation of the dollar, has made the most money with over $300
I agree too.
$300 million. So.
Yeah, I agree too that it's okay if there's like smaller studios and smaller movies, video game movies coming out, but it is definitely like, for video game movies to remain at all attractive, the thing is that there should be like a big hit every once in a while, like there was with Mortal Kombat, with Tomb Raider, and Prince of Persia, and I don't remember if they're in between those two. If there's quite a long gap, was there even like one really big hit in the interim? I don't think there was. Like, the Resident Evil movies, they've always like made steady amounts of cash, but they don't have.
Resident Evil is the only successful franchise, so if nothing else.
yeah, definitely.
The only video game franchise.
Movie still gotten a theatrical release, so yeah. But it's not like a huge splash every time. Like, a new Resident Evil movie is coming out. Like,
it's more like a cult classic.
Myself who like the movies, of course, get excited about that. But it's not the same thing as like this big media. It's like Prince of Persia. Yeah.
One thing I like about the Resident Evil series is they sort of spawned off into their own thing, like completely different from the video game movies.
That's something we talked about in the previous podcast as well, is that in spite of whether or not a movie is based on a video game, it really shouldn't matter. Like, the movie should actually be able to stand on its own 2 feet. So that's another kind of a problem, is that if it's too like tied to its source material, then it doesn't necessarily work as a video game.
Yeah, maybe,
Yeah,
maybe, but I wanna. That's the thing is now I'm thinking, I'm really hoping. I'm not a big Warcraft fan myself, but I'm really hoping this is gonna be the movie that breaks the mold and gonna open up doors, just like the X-Men movie did for superhero movies. So I think when you said that it shouldn't be tied, I'm okay with some changes. It depends on the franchise, and it depends on the game.
Yeah, I'm not saying that that every movie should be that way. I'm just saying that the movie itself has to work on its own merits. It can't, that's the main thing.
Yeah, ideally.
That's what I'm saying.
it shouldn't be just reference the movie basically.
Yeah,
So.
definitely. So, any other ones? Because I also have a few.
They have a bunch still.
The one, quite a few
Yeah,
that I have that are coming up pretty soon that I'm excited about is actually coming up very soon is the movie Pixels, which is the video game disaster movie. And I like that.
Yeah.
I like that because that hasn't really been done before. And
no.
And I'm surprised, like with surprisingly big IPs, no less, like Pac-Man and Donkey Kong.
Yeah, that surprised me too. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, what? Like, Nintendo was like, oh, we did the Mario movie, now we hate everything, and we'll never make a movie again. Oh yeah, but yeah.
I do get the feeling like this is Nintendo like trying the waters a bit. After it's been over 20 years since Super Mario Brothers. Like it's maybe time to let's try it let's give it a chance again. But let's do it like they're doing it kind of indirectly. They're doing another movie that just has a Nintendo character, which I guess they sort of did already with Wreck-It Ralph too. Because
and also they said also because they actually wanted to have Mario and Wreck-It Ralph. But they could have Bowser, but I think it was too expensive, or they didn't want Mario.
Yeah. That's what the deal breaker was, that Nintendo wanted a lot more money for Mario and Luigi.
Yeah. Because Nintendo is kind of like, but I think they actually saw how well the movie did, and that it was kind of a waste of potential that it didn't have Mario, because Sega was like, yeah, Sonic isn't doing that well, so of course we'll throw in Sonic there, but I felt like I actually heard
personally, I understand like Nintendo's reservations. Like I don't blame them for that. It's just interesting that now they're again trying the waters a little bit with Donkey Kong in the Pixels movie, and also because, like I said, that we've touched upon a little about the topic that so many like horror video games have been adapted into movies. So many fighting games get adapted to. I get, and also many video game movies also. Not that it's necessarily cheap, but it's kind of an easy route to, for instance, go the action movie route, because that people are going to want to see that, and it's kind of surefire way to get at least a little bit of money out of the movie. So it's nice to see that they're doing something like really, really different. So that's what I'm interested in. That's one of the main reasons I also liked Wreck-It Ralph, because it was an animated movie, and also because it did something that hadn't really been done with video games before.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
One more thing I want to say, Pixels does look interesting, and I do like the idea that basically the story is that the aliens pick up they think the best way to invade Earth is to use their own video game characters, and I think the cool thing is about that, like guys like Movie Bob doesn't like it. I thought it's kind of an interesting idea, because it's the idea where the video game characters come into the real world and they're all pixely and they're acting like in their video game counterparts. So I'm like, the entire movie is based on somebody made a short about that, where exactly that happened.
Yeah, we were talking about that. We were talking about that before.
Yeah. So I'm interested in that movie, and this might be this might be the Adam Sandler movie that breaks as a bad movie, because he hasn't had, in my opinion, a good movie in a long time. And I hope it does, because I think he is a talented comedic actor, and I think he needs a big hit really bad.
A bad guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
That line just made me so happy when I hear it in the trailer.
Exactly, yeah. I do hope we see also...
I like Adam Sandler in anything. It's just...
his recent movies I haven't been a big fan of, but I do hope that Pac-Man also makes a cameo, at least. I think he was mentioned in Wreck-It Ralph, but I really hope Wreck-It Ralph 2, because they said that Nintendo wants to, they are in talks now, because the first one did so well, that they want to have Mario in a bigger role, and I think because that would be great, because this would be like Nintendo like being more open for a Mario movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, the obvious thing that seems to get ignored when people talk about the Super Mario Brothers movie, in my opinion, is that it shouldn't have been live action. Like, it should have been animated. Back then. Especially when I've been looking at like the cutscenes of like the most recent Mario games, and I look at them like how beautiful they are and how well made they are, and I'm thinking like, you could just take this, put it on a DVD, and it's a movie. God damn it! So why not just make an animated Mario movie? Like that's not rocket science.
I mean, the cartoon show was actually really good too, because it felt like already like a cartoon. So it made sense to make it into a cartoon, either cell shaded or now obviously CGI. On the one hand, though, I heard also guys, like again, Movie Bob, who I personally don't like, but he did make the point that, it might be not bad to make it live action, and now with CGI they could do it, but it would be almost all completely CGI anyway. So I feel like maybe just going full CGI would be the best route.
I mean, because this is the way I felt about the finale of the new TMNT movie, is that at the end I was honestly feeling like, why is this movie in live action? Because once Shredder puts on the costume, he's all CG, the turtles are all CG, and they are all fighting together. There's no reason for this movie to be live action now. This has turned into an animated movie at this point, so...
Well, you could,
that's the same way. Like, if it's gonna be like vast majority CG, why do you need live action? Why would you need live action at all? Really?
Yeah, but I do agree though that having live action, I do like it. But I think for some franchises, it's definitely where you gotta think. Like Mario, I think would definitely work better in CG on the one hand, but I think it would be possible to do it live action CG mix, but it's much harder, and I feel like, as you said, it would be much easier and probably better to do it just like stuff like like characters where you have characters that are more human looking, like Street Fighter, for example. That makes sense that they would make it live action.
Yeah.
But like stuff like Mario, anything that is more cartoony looking, I would say just go with CGI. But
they also Sonic the Hedgehog would look terrible as a live action movie. Terrible.
Actually, they announced, Sega did announce the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. That's it. We don't know anything else about it, other than I think they said that they want to make it CGI live action combinations. I'm guessing Sonic is definitely going to be CGI, obviously. But I feel
there was the trailer teasers for a Sonic fan movie, but I'm not sure if they actually made the movie or if it was just going to be that little bit. And it was exactly that. It was there was human characters and then a CG Sonic. So yeah, I don't know.
Like I think that's what they say. They say the film it's Sony Pictures and some Marza Animation Planet, which I never heard is going to make it, and they say the film is expected to be live action and CGI hybrid.
Okay.
I kind of hope that they would have just went the full CGI route, like make it like a Pixar movie. But I'm like, we'll see.
Okay. Another movie that's already it has a release date, but I think they pushed it maybe into next year is the new Hitman movie, and it's not going to be a sequel to the previous Hitman movie. But this one is already finished. It's going to be the thing I've heard is it's going to be a little bit more over the top. So they're going a bit more like crazy action. So I don't know if I'm okay with that necessarily, but because I like the kind of the mood that they set with the first movie.
Is this a reboot?
What?
Is this a reboot then?
Yeah, it's not a sequel. So it's
okay. I haven't seen the previous Hitman film.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of people who disliked it. I still want to watch it though, and then I'll make my opinion. But this one, I see it is a different actor too.
It is. Originally, it was going to be played by the guy who was in the Fast and the Furious movies, but then he died, so he couldn't. So they had to.
Oh yeah. You mean Paul Walker?
Yeah, that guy exactly.
Yeah, I think he could have done well. It's sad.
He was cast for it originally, but then it changed. It seems like the Hitman movies are always because. The first Hitman movie originally was going to be Vin Diesel, but then he backed out and it became Timothy Olyphant, who I think did a good job with the role anyway. But I know that they did the reboot probably because the first movie didn't do so well, but honestly, I liked it. I thought it was a really good movie. So I'm gonna go see it out of curiosity. I'm definitely gonna go see it. And then there's of course the 6th Resident Evil movie that's coming next year called Resident Evil: The Final Chapter. And the title seems to indicate that it's going to be at least the final movie of this series of films that has Mila Jovovich, Alice, the character at the center. So I don't think it's going to be the last Resident Evil movie. So
they can always reboot it.
But it seems like they're finally wrapping it up, and maybe whatever Resident Evil movie comes out next is probably going to be a reboot I don't know what they're gonna do with it, but it's like for me it's like about fucking time because I honestly expected it to end with the third movie because they drummed it up actually like as being the final movie of that series anyway, and then they kept on making it. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Darabka, you said that you only saw the first two, so you don't have that much of an investment in it. And Kaiser, how caught up are you? You've seen it up to the fourth one.
I've seen the first one. I didn't see Apocalypse. I've seen the third one and I've seen the fourth one. Yes.
Oh, so you missed out on the second one. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. And I'm just happy that because I've been very invested in this kind of storyline and what's going on. So, oh yeah, and also
it is an interesting storyline, isn't it?
Yeah, me and Kaiser, we recently did actually a commentary together on the fourth movie, Afterlife. So.
Yep, and the funny thing is, I thought I'd forgotten most of the stuff that happened in that movie until I actually rewatched it.
Yeah,
it's here in the commentary.
Yeah, it's kind of revealed just how little plot there was in that fourth movie. But I like the fifth movie, and I really hope that they will finally make a proper finale for it in the sixth one. But those are really the ones that I wanted to talk about right now. And of course, there's the Ratchet and Clank one coming up. We discussed that one.
There's a bunch more announced. I would like to talk about. Oh, they have actually another Far Cry movie apparently.
Really?
But yeah, apparently I'm seeing here on the wiki site, but it might be just like. Let me see here. But one thing I've seen that actually I looked at this list, which really surprised me, is that Half-Life, and because Valve has always said that they don't want to make a movie based on Half-Life, and because of the bad rep, and apparently the what says here that here's the title: J.J. Abrams and Valve teaming up, Half-Life and Portal movies in the works. So I don't know, like
it would seem like really odd timing for
It's just weird because Half-Life right now is like, I mean, there was a certain time where a Half-Life movie would be really good. Like, I still want to see a Half-Life movie, but I feel like I look at Gaben as Gabe Newell is known by Steam heads, and all I'm saying, stop eating hamburgers, stop making Steam updates, and start making fucking Half-Life 3. You know? I want to see Half-Life 3 before I see Half-Life the movie.
Okay.
But on the other hand, I mean, it could be cool. But right now, it's just like they're just figuring stuff out. So there's a big chance that nothing will come out of it. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, they've been talking about that forever. So I'm not.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna hold my.
Well, but right now they actually the people have been wishing it, but I don't remember Valve or Gabe Newell or any of the guys actually said. Yeah, we're working on a half. There was offers made. They said studios came there and made offers, but they never liked it. And this is the first time where they came out, and here's a picture with Gabe Newell and J.J. Abrams, where they said that we're working on something. So this is a little bit more hope, but we'll see if anything comes of that.
All right, but we've already gone on for almost 2 hours for this podcast, so maybe we should finally move on to another topic.
Yeah.
Because we've discussed video game movies quite extensively already. So, next up on our list is one-hit wonders. So, this was, of course, episode 12 of the podcast, which, again, had Amuya, Joe, and Sendu on, and Kaiser was there as well. So, Kaiser talked about, and I actually listened to that Born to Be Alive song that you mentioned.
Born to Be Alive.
Oh, I love that song. That's great. Born to Be Alive.
Yeah, that's a weird one, and I think I heard it on the radio not too long afterwards as well, so it was really odd. But anyway, One Hit Wonders. That was another fun cast where we just talked about these either bands or artists who had one huge big song, and after that might have had a musical career going on, but they never ever had another big hit. And we discussed some of those. And so Darabka, what are your favorite one-hit wonders that you want to talk about with us?
I'm just thinking about there's so many, but
I remember mentioning the 99 Luftballons by Nena there, but
Nina, she had some other songs that were popular, but like definitely I would agree she's more or less a one-hit
definitely.
wonder.
And we discussed it also that definitely like probably especially in Germany, Nena probably had a lot more hits, but like internationally speaking,
definitely.
That was the big one. That was the big one. Yeah.
Oh man, I gotta think about this.
I'm not.
You know,
Wait.
I would say
here?
Actually, you mentioned the Born to Be Alive. As a kid, I always loved the song, and I still love it. I would say like a Walk in the Park by this Nick, whatever is it called? Wait, I gotta find the name here. A Walk in the Park. That one is a weird song, and but I think.
And who's that by?
Wait, give me a second here. Walk in the Park. I'm gonna. I forgot the name, but it's some kind of Nick something band. Jesus Christ, that's what notes would be good.
Nick Straker?
Nick Straker band or something. That one I thought was kind of cool. There's also, I would say.
Oh, is that the song that goes?
No, it's like. No. It's like a walk in the park, a step in the dark, something like that. So that's.
Let me. I found it just on YouTube, so let me just listen to it real quick. So I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you probably have heard it, although maybe not. Mambo number 5, definitely. I found.
We talked about that.
From Blue Bega, that was huge, and that was like the definition of a one-hit wonder. He said it was like he tried it in another song, but it didn't really go anywhere. I will actually say one of my favorite guys, Andrew WK. I follow his career really closely, but like he had a couple of songs that got big, but it was always Party Hard that everybody knows, and for most people that heard of his music. Barbie Girl, but that one was annoying. Like Aqua. I mean.
I'm a Barbie girl, and I probably will.
That's not even my favorite song.
It's fantastic. You can brush my hair.
And what about Dr. Jones? Indiana Jones.
Dr. Jones. They call me Dr. Jones. Dr. Jones, Dr. Jones. Get on.
Kaiser is clearly waiting
this
to
one.
Aqua.
We are the cartoon heroes. Whoa.
That was their other album.
That's the one song I still like to this day. The other songs are just they were so overplayed in the 90s that it was like oh man, there's so many songs that just Ace of Base you could almost consider they had at least 2 songs, so that's the problem is there's some like 2-hit wonder bands, but
usually
actually talked about
usually one of them's clearly like more renowned. Like obviously, if you know about the song, then it probably got pretty big. But which song specifically are you talking about?
I Saw the Sign, and all that she wants is another baby.
Oh yeah, that one.
All that she wants is another baby. Hey. Again, that was so
with fucking A.
Yeah.
Like like that.
Oh yeah. I'm looking here at the list on Wiki, and there's a song here that I loved. I had actually the album.
Yep.
It's The Simpsons Do the Bartman. I had that album.
Oh
Song was there.
I don't actually know the Bartman at all, so.
Okay.
Yes.
Darabka, the Bartman is so 1991.
Okay, D-Light, Groove is in the Heart. That one is super 90s. And yeah, that is like for me one of the. Like,
sorry, you got me singing.
For me,
dude.
if you list like songs that define the 90s, that is one of them for me at least. I'm not even not because I liked it that much. It's just because it was so everywhere.
Do you remember the Dancing Baby song? Dancing Baby, ooga chaka, ooga, ooga chaka, ooga, ooga.
I know what you're talking about.
That is probably the only part of fucking Ally McBeal lore that I even remember anymore.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Ally McBeal. Jeez.
Remember that show was a thing?
Yep.
Yeah, I know that's so forgotten. All I know now is that the actress has like done plastic surgery. She's the wife of Harrison Ford at one point, and now she's gonna be in the
She
Supergirl
still
show.
is. She still is.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Well, they're like, but she's gonna be in the Supergirl TV show, which I won't gonna get in because I won't shut up because it looks so awesome and yeah.
Darabka,
Also, the only other thing I remember is that show had Janusz from Ghostbusters 2 on it.
Oh yeah.
Yes, that's what I remember most about it too.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Janusz is a Hungarian name actually. It's
another a song I want to get in. I don't know if I've said this on the last episode or not, but Samantha Fox, "Touch Me, I Want Your Body."
What?
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Okay.
Touch me, I wanna feel your body. It was a one-hit wonder by a Playboy model.
Oh, that sounds bad.
There's so many weird songs out there that it's just like.
Yeah.
What about the Crash Test Dummies?
Probably my favorite, like 90s. Because that Aqua business and all of that was all of the part of the Euro dance techno craze that was going on, like especially in the 90s. I remember that was just all over the place, and technically it hasn't gone away. Like it's still a thing. Like every year, especially around summertime, you get the fucking you always get those kinds of music. But the one that I remember most fondly probably is the Scatman song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I said this in the first part, but I want to say it again. But every time I hear that song, I always imagine like that remix with like the Mortal Kombat theme, like fight, test your might,
Really, really 90s band. This is.
Oh my God.
Do either of you remember Scooter?
Oh yeah, of course. How much is the fish?
Yes. They also had another song which was Fire, and I remember.
Fire! I love.
That song is in the Mortal Kombat Annihilation soundtrack.
Yes.
It's very one of the
okay, the thing about techno, people need to understand that techno existed at least since the 80s, and some people argue that there was experimental techno in the 70s, but it really got big and mainstream in the late 80s, early 90s with U96, and it really started in Germany. And the 90s was the decade, from the 90s on till the early 2000s was the decade of techno, where everybody loved fucking techno, at least younger people, and you had bands like Scooter and all these weird ass bands like Erotic and
Scooter's not really a good example of a one-hit wonder because they had a
he had a ton of hits.
Quite a few songs.
But
I think everybody remembers how much is the fish.
But all of his songs are like, I sing a word really loud and then we have a bunch of techno beats.
I mean, I saw an interview by them at one point that they admitted that back then that even back then, like this was when they were famous, like they admitted like, yeah, we just sing gibberish, like it doesn't have none of it has to mean anything. It's just that people have a good time. So
the thing is that as much as I don't like Scooter, I liked it back in the day, I'll admit, and it was just something that was just, I don't know, like. Okay, here's one from the 2000s that I remember now that I'm not seeing here, but I'm remembering. Crazy Town, what is it? The Crazy Town Band and their song, Come Sugar Town or Sugar whatever. Like, let me see. It's a weird ass.
You to say "Come Sugar Tits" or something like that.
Probably,
yeah. Possible thing you could name a song.
Butterfly, that's what it's called.
Oh yeah, I remember Butterfly.
You're my
come my lady.
Come my lady, come my
lady. It's pretty close. It's got the word sugar in it.
Yeah, that's why I was
definitely.
I remember hearing that song back in the day, and I was like, who are these Jamaican dudes singing this terrible rap song? Then I watched the music video, they're all white dudes.
Oh yeah. That song was so popular for the short time. They were on the top, but they never could get anywhere. I remember they did other songs, but nobody remembers them anymore. Like nothing.
What about bands? Well, you mentioned a few, but I was.
Oh, Chumbawamba, yeah, the
I get knocked down.
They're never gonna get you down.
Also a quintessential 90s song in my opinion.
Definitely. I remember
Thumping or whatever. I actually was on a concert of theirs where they were like basically already forgotten. They came to Hungary. Basically every band that is like, our career is over. Let's go to Hungary or to Eastern Europe.
Another band I want to mention is Alien Anthem with Smooth Criminal.
Yeah, exactly. It was such a weird concert. I just want to mention that just really quick. It was like 80 people showed up, almost nothing, and it was actually pretty cool. It was like an intimate little concert.
I was about to say that.
Okay,
Chumbawamba is actually a decent band outside of that song.
I actually went to the. I actually got. I wanted to get on the stage, so I got on the stage, and it was cool. And they actually, I said to them, okay, let's sing AC/DC or something, TNT. And I didn't know the song, so I had to kind of hum it to them, you know. And I was disappointed. You don't know TNT, you don't know AC/DC. Go fuck yourself, Jumbo. I'm just kidding now. I don't know, like they're cool. They're just it's a one-hit wonder thing, you know. So
yeah.
But yeah, that definitely is one of the ultimate 99 Love Belongs. Don't worry, be happy. Yeah, definitely. Bobby McFerrin.
Oh yeah, I know that too.
Well, that one is like as a kid, I loved that song. We loved that song to death. And actually, I found his album. My brother found an album of Bobby McFerrin, and his thing is that he makes music with his he would basically only use his body as his instrument. Like he would hit on his neck and stuff. It's actually very fascinating. But he actually said, I think I hear that whenever he does a concert now, because he's still been active in music, like of course not even close to successful. Yep. I think he never sings "Don't Worry, Be Happy" anymore because and I'm not surprised because probably everybody, oh yeah, sing "Don't Worry, Be Happy," but I have other songs. No, please sing "Don't Worry, Be Happy."
Yeah, yeah.
Video Killed the Radio Star. Yeah, definitely. That one was also huge. That was, again, a quintessential 80s song. For me, that was like, and it's so dated now. Video Killed the Radio Star. It should be like Digital killed the fucking everything.
YouTube
star.
killed the video star.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I meant the children.
That's And I'm looking at the list here, 20 one-hit wonders, and it has also, of course, Born to Be Alive. Because that one, again, in the 80s, that one was a huge song, but it was like, that was one song and that's it. Did he even record anything else? I'm not even sure.
There was the guy, was it Patrick Hernandez, or what the hell?
Yeah.
And he's a French singer, so I remember laughing out loud on the podcast at the concept of those. How utterly at odds that name is with the fact that the guy.
That's like the most Spanish name ever, pretty much.
Patrick. Yeah, but Patrick though,
Well, Patrick is more Irish.
Irish, Spanish, French.
Irish, Spanish.
Let's do all the countries.
Let's do all the countries. Yeah. Well, they're listing here "Achy Breaky Heart." I never liked that song. Stupid. Song.
I love Billy Ray Cyrus actually. That album was actually really good.
Get my heart, my achy breaky heart, and I never liked that. It just was like, bleh, just no.
The only thing I have to criticize on Billy Ray Cyrus on is he shot Miley Cyrus out of his bowl sack.
Jesus. Well, with that, I'm wondering, can we really top that as far as this one-hit wonder thing is concerned? Because we've been rambling on for
I could just basically go on. Like, I know pretty much all these songs. That's the thing, is they were all hits and they were all one-hit wonders. Okay. And you never heard
really
them
again. To ruin the mood, I'm just gonna say one song: "Crazy Frog."
No, God damn.
Is that with the squeegee CGI frog? Is that the one? No. Oh no.
Yeah, that one.
No, never. No.
Yeah.
Did not happen.
Yeah.
I just forgot about it, for Christ's sake. I erased it out of my mind, and now again, Kaiser, thank you very much.
Okay, let's move on to the next topic. I think we have to end on this because we've gone on for so long already. Next up on my topic, and this was the topic of our very first White Devil podcast ever, which was Mega Man. And that's when Kaiser was there, and Aqualung was there.
Mega Cannon.
That was a great episode, by the way. I like that. I gotta re-listen to that one.
Honestly. Yeah, that was way back before Match Game or any of the other stuff. Yeah. But yeah, so obviously, me and Kaiser, we don't need to mention our Mega Man credentials. We've done 2 podcasts actually. So we did one White Devil podcast and we did one.
And not to mention several episode commentaries as well.
RetroKaiser, Kaiser Cast, and also several episode commentaries on the cartoon show. So yeah, but Darabka. So why don't we start with what are your favorite Mega Man games and what do you think about the series overall?
Okay, yeah, I'll start. One thing I want to say, because I haven't listened to the commentary yet, because I still want to watch the episode before, so I can get a reference point. And but I did watch the cartoon as a kid, but I'll get that in a second. All I want to say is that Kaiser, the picture that you did with Proto Man, is like genius. It was pretty hilarious. So, but anyway, so Mega Man, right? So when I had my NES back in the day, me and my brother, we would play Mega Man.
That picture.
Yep. That picture, yep. And so the Mega Man, we had, when we got our NES, we got it used, and Mega Man 2 was one of the games that we got, and it was really good. Yeah, that's like a lot of people consider it one of the best, and I definitely agree. Mega Man 1 is good, but it was a little bit unforgiving in many ways. It was actually a lot unforgiving because 2 was great because they added the password system, which really made it like the replayability where it's hard, but now you got a chance because you can always go back to your save and like, okay, 2 is actually not that hard in comparison to other Mega Man games, and that's why a lot of people also like it, but it's also really well designed. I really loved it as a kid. I liked to play it. I wasn't that good at it. I couldn't get that far. Like, I would get somewhat far, but my brother is the one I remember playing it through, and I would watch him play it through, and he was great. And
that's the thing about the Mega Man games. Like, I wasn't like really good at them myself, but the very thing that made Mega Man so popular, I think, was the stage select, and that way you could actually experience a lot of the levels, even if you didn't get very far into them. And that's why that's why I had such vivid memories of the Mega Man games, because we didn't buy a lot of them. We just either borrowed or we rented them, and we played them a lot. And I remember them for a long time because I got to experience all those different levels, even if I wasn't good enough to actually get very far in the game.
I don't know. I think I could beat usually the robot bosses. I just had problems with when you went to the Wily stage. It was like we would
that's where way ahead of me.
like it depended on the game though.
But you are older than me though.
Yeah. For me, we had Mega Man 2, right? And then we really liked it. My brother played it through, and I was really excited watching him. I remember this was probably my first Let's Play that I watched. My brother playing through Mega Man 2, and it was really exciting. And then Dr. Wily like just changes into an alien, and then he's not Dr. Wily, and it's just really weird, and it's fucking awesome and crazy. And we loved Dr. Wily with his stupid eyebrows and his stupid UFO and always getting away, and we would always make fun of that. And we would always call him, because we would say German like Dr. Willy. So it's actually funny because we did a little stupid rhyme because
I always called him Dr. Willy too.
Yeah. So because and there was a game. It wasn't not stupid. It was a good game. It was one of the Dizzy games. I think one of the first Magic Land Dizzy, which is a adventure platformer. It's like very much like an adventure game, but it's a platformer where you play like a Humpty Dumpty egg guy in a fairy tale land. But it's pretty cool. And it's funny because one of the first puzzles you need to solve, one of the first items you get is just simply called something sticky. And we played with my cousin and my brother, in Hungary on his Commodore 64, and we would always laugh like, "What the hell is something sticky?" And for some reason, we're kids, and we were also playing Mega Man because when we would go to Hungary, we would bring our NES, so we would play NES and Commodore 64, and we made up this rhyme. Something sticky, Dr. Willy, something like that. It was stupid. We were kids. We were little kids.
Ew.
So, and if I think about it now, it just comes out really wrong. But little kids. So.
Sticky Willy.
I think we just said it because it rhymed, But now I think about it. Anyway, so this is tangent. Mega Man 2, I loved it. It was a good game, and I still want to beat it. I think I can beat it, I got far, and I'm going to beat it eventually.
Well, going from Sticky Willies to beating it, pity it wasn't the other way around.
Anyway, Mega Man 3, for me, that's the one we bought Mega Man 3 new in the box. It was great. And Mega Man 3, I remember, because I think Mega Man 2 was cool, but Mega Man 3, just a lot of people always enjoy Mega Man 2's music, and it's really good music, and the intro music is great. The whole scene where it's the tower, but I just loved Mega Man 3, and we both, me and my brother, loved it a lot. He actually made a video game remix, like a piano. He actually played the tune in piano and made kind of a jazz remix, and he uploaded it to what is it? It's a website that does video game music remixes, and a lot of people liked it a lot. Like, and it was it's
Not,
anyway. So the point is that
Overclocked remix.
Overclock remix. Yeah, he's on there. I will
Holy
show you
shit.
the link.
Oh,
Yeah, he's on there, and
I probably listened to it.
yeah, you probably and he's like, yeah, I just did it quick, and he didn't have like proper recording, because he was in college and didn't have a lot of money or anything. And but a lot of people thought it was really cool, and I think it's really cool. And it was cool because we enjoyed the shit out of Mega Man 3 because it was like, I loved it because you had guys like, you had Snake Man, you had Shadow Man, which was my favorite because I was really into ninjas. So I'm like, oh my god, it's a ninja. and then the last Mega Man game we bought was 4, which we still enjoyed, but it wasn't as good as 3. And that was the point where it was getting a little bit old already, And I remember there was a contest for, I think, Mega Man 3, I think for Mega Man 4, to design your own Robot Master. And I didn't know where to send it, but I would design Robot Masters anyway. And one of these days I want to just show them off, and I made like all kinds of weird ones. I made like, I can remember one, Dynamite Man. and where I would basically make the big kind of
like a short-lived character.
Yeah. Well, no, he would throw dynamites.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that's probably right. That would be great. Dynamite Man.
There's a stick of dynamite with hands and feet.
No, he blows up, right, and then he's just dead.
Yeah. That's right.
I bet you if you ever start talking to Dynamite Man, I bet you he has a bit of a short fuse.
So.
Yep, there we go.
Okay.
But
so would you say that 3 is your favorite game?
I would say 3 definitely in the classic series. 4 is good, but it's like like they're just kind of rehashing. I loved when they added what is the dog? What's his name again? Rush. As a kid, I thought this is the coolest shit ever. Robot dog. I mean, like who can fly and then submarine and shit. I did play Mega Man X. I think we only rented it from the video store, but I did enjoy it. I found it kind of weird how the enemies were like these weird like animal robot dudes. I didn't have a problem with it. I just thought it was a little bit weird, but I did like the look at the graphics, and it's quite an amazing game. And I still want to give it another shot and try to beat it. And it's it was the next generation Mega Man game, and this is kind of my extent of Mega Man really at this point when we're talking game wise.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I haven't played. I know there's so many games. I haven't played. I think I tried out some of the later classic games. I maybe tried out also.
So the NES you played up to 5. Did you ever play the Super Nintendo or the PlayStation ones?
Where 4, let's be honest. I think I tried out 5, but let's be honest, I would say up to 4. The PlayStation ones I haven't tried, but they look pretty sweet, and I do want to play them.
What about 9 and 10, the retro return ones where they?
I haven't, but I heard that they're really they went back of being more simpler, more tough again. Yeah, so that's my extent. But there was a time I really liked Mega Man.
Okay.
And I hated him because I liked the Captain N cartoon show, but I didn't like how they portrayed Mega Man. He was just kind of this dorky. I just didn't like him.
Mega Man.
Well, exactly, and the Mega Man cartoon show, I actually remember that vividly because it's actually interesting because the intro song in Germany was very different. It was just some generic techno song.
Oh yeah, I've heard it. That seemed to be a thing for a while in Germany, just to replace the main theme song with some weird.
Well, techno was so popular. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
I've heard the Dragon Ball, not Dragon Ball Z, but the Dragon Ball techno song, which goes like "Finden alle sieben Dragon Balls."
Oh yeah. Well, you should have heard the Hungarian one because they're like saying like it was kind of a very like wholesome family cartoon show. It was like
is it the same one that they had in France and Spain?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay, yeah. Then I know the one. At least I know the melody. Yeah.
They were saying like it was like the same but with Hungarian lyrics, and I remember they were saying the really nice Goku is a really nice kid, or like everything is fine and everything. And all I could remember is then the next scene is like them fighting and like torturing each other and just yelling and bleeding.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, fair. Okay, Dragon Ball was different. It was more.
All right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going
But you like that? But you like the cartoon show?
The cartoon show was good, and I did like when you discussed that. I remember you discussing that, and I want to get more into the cartoon show. But as a kid, there wasn't that many video game related media out there. There was like the Mario show.
Yeah, that's funny because I completely missed out on the Mega Man cartoon show because it didn't air over here.
Oh, okay.
I watched. I was familiar with Captain N. I was familiar with the Dick Entertainment video game cartoons very much because those were very present over here. But after that, it just kind of got. It was kind of patchy. You couldn't really get like Donkey Kong Country was the next one that came along for me. But something like Mega Man and the Darkstalkers cartoon, or even the Street Fighter cartoon, none of those aired over here. Or you had to have or they were on some like some pay channel that you needed to get from from your like cable provider or whatever. So those were completely out of my reach as a kid. So yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that does suck. And I do know that there were certain cartoons and shows that I would have loved that weren't available in Germany. Like I don't remember Voltron being I don't remember Voltron existing in Germany. But anyway,
the topic wasn't cartoons. It was.
Yeah. So
going back to
the Mega Man cartoon show, I really enjoyed it because it felt to me like, yes, this is how Mega Man should be in a cartoon, and it should be basically a superhero show because Mega Man design, and it was based off of Astro Boy. And I felt like, yeah, this is supposed to be the Astro Boy of the next generation, even though back then I didn't know that. But it was basically a robot superheroes, basically.
Well, yeah, for the original games, that's true. But for the cartoon, where it was a little different when they made them all kind of muscly and bulky and...
Well, I think they made them more muscly and bulky because I think they were trying, because they saw, well, Mega Man is basically a superhero, but they then decided, well, superheroes are super buff, but Mega Man,
Yeah, that was a strict marketing thing, I think.
Exactly.
Wanted to make, because it was still this was just before like anime was starting to get like big over in the States, and they were worried that the show wouldn't appeal to people if it was more like the art style from the actual games and things. So
which is more like Astro Boy, yeah, where he's more like a kid.
Yeah.
So. And here he was like very muscular, typical in many ways, typical superhero stuff. And I found it a little bit weird where I was like, wow, fucking Mega Man is ripped. He's been like working out or some shit. Like, okay, he's been like hitting the roid section or like something. I don't know. Did he kill Arnold Schwarzenegger and took his power or something? I don't know.
Now I got your Austrian power.
I'm Mega Man. I will destroy you.
And you got Proto Man with the Stallone sort of voice. Mega Man.
But hey, if I could, we could dial back to the game discussion. Like you mentioned that Mega Man 3 was your personal favorite. It's been so long, I don't remember. But Kaiser, what of those NES installments, what was your favorite?
I like them all equally, actually.
Oh, okay. I can understand that, and that's the thing. Like the NES installments, all of them I have. Each of them have their own like special thing about them that I really like. My personal favorite was 5, but 3 and 2 are also really good ones. And
I actually would have said 3 and 2 were my favorites if I hadn't actually beaten the first Mega Man game. Because I have beaten the first Mega Man game, and I found it to oddly be pretty easy.
The first one.
Wait, have you?
Yeah, I've been.
With save states without.
No, without.
Well, I'm surprised. Because I found Mega Man 1 super hard, and I had this. For a long time, I've had this love-hate relationship with that game. That's when I was trying to beat. Back in the old emulation days when I was trying to beat those games. Like 1, I just got so frustrated, so angry with that game at times. It's like, ridiculously hard. And even though it's one of those games where you can cheat because of the pause cheat that's in the game, because select pauses the game rather than sending you to a menu, and you can use that.
Yeah. The yellow.
But even with that, it felt like ridiculously hard and punishing. And now it's gotten to the point where I know the game so well that I can just beat it in a single sitting, no problem. So, and now I actually dig it. So now I actually love it.
Yeah,
So,
I still need to beat it
yeah.
myself, but
I've done, this shouldn't come as any surprise that I've done Let's Plays of quite a few of the games. We did number one with Aqualung. I did number three with my friend Ville, and then I did four and five as solo Let's Plays. So,
nice, nice.
yes.
I have seen that. I've seen the Ville ones with the
Number
three.
three, yeah, but I would imagine you had since that was your favorite.
Well, I've seen that you. This is one that I've definitely put on my watch later list that I definitely gonna watch. It's just like me, the fucking infinite stuff to watch. But that's definitely on my. I rather have lots of stuff to
Oh,
watch
yeah.
than. But
Yeah. The fourth one still kicks my ass, and you could tell like how frustrated I was getting at the end of that game. The fourth one is another really really hard one. So yeah.
I would say like it gotten to the point where I think like maybe like I hear the ninth and the 10th one they're really hard.
Yeah, they are. They are. The ninth one, number nine, was still, I think, actually pretty fair. Like it was challenging, but it was still like pretty fair, and I really enjoyed it. I got a really victorious feeling whenever I beat a stage in that one. But 10 just got so crazy. Like I've said this before that it's my least favorite of the classic Mega Man games. Of course, I have not played. 8 is the only one from the main series of the classic games that I haven't played, and that's the one on the PlayStation. People keep telling me that it's bad, but I really do want to actually play it for myself before I make any kind of judgment on it. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The thing is with Mega Man in general, it's the same formula, at least the classic series, and also the X series has added some stuff to it, and it made it, I don't know, added more story, I guess. Not, I guess the old series had
Yeah,
story
it
too.
started. It started. Yeah, definitely. Like from X4 onward, the X series definitely. That's where how they kind of distinguished themselves was that they went more deeply into a storyline. It wasn't present in the first three games, but it was really like with a very light hand, sort of like with the classic series, like you said. There is a kind of a storyline going on, but it's like very very light. It's like it's barely there.
Well, there's basically Dr. Light. He makes robots, then most of them go bad except Rock and Roll, like Mega Man and Roll. And
And then it's just Wily making a new set every game. So.
and basically it's like
Yeah.
it's basically it very much was Astro Boy, and it felt like where for me where then when I knew this, then it made sense to me. But I also liked in Mega Man in general the enemies and the enemy designs. There was a
Oh
very
yeah.
nice continuity where it was in one way it was cartoony, but they could be also cool and badass. It was a really nice mix of the both, and it was
Yeah.
you could see there was a lot of really good design going into the game. It felt very polished. Like I never felt like when I died in Mega Man, I could feel that maybe the game was a little bit it was tough, but it felt like well, you can make it. You just have to pay. You just have got to open your eyes and jump at the right second and stuff.
Yeah.
Where I did like the jumping in Mega Man. Like it and but that's the thing is that they would always challenge you, and that's why I liked from 2 onwards is where you could save your game, and that was what really was cool because we would then go back because that's why we also like games like Castlevania 3 or something where you had the passwords and stuff, and it was like you were more motivated to go back because back in the day video games were hard. I mean, especially the NES era, Commodore 64, that kind of era. Video games were fucking hard. So if you could save your game state, even with the super long, insane passwords, like Metroid, for example, I remember, or something like that, we would do it because it was like we could go back and Mega Man actually did a really, really nice and easy password version with the dots. It
Yeah.
was like that was like so easy to draw down on on a paper. And but anyway, so this I'm rambling. I think I
No.
want to get into the X series. I have not played any of the spin-off games, including Legends. Although I hear that Capcom is kind of giving a lot of Mega Man games the shaft. One
Oh
game
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
disappointed, and I would have probably tried it out, but also I thought it would have been the best idea was a Mega Man MMO where people can make their own robots because I felt like people already made their own robot masters. Why not make a game like that? And I feel like there's just kind of so much potential that flushed down the toilet. So
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of like right now. It's just waiting for Mighty Number Nine, which is the I guess the spiritual successor to the series from Keiji
Yeah,
Inafune.
yeah,
Yeah,
the guy who really made the game. And Keiji Fune is what I found cool. I actually saw an interview with him where he was discussing what is it, Dead Rising. I didn't even know he was making this game, or made the game Dead Rising. But I felt like when he was talking about game development, he was trying to say that Japan needs to get their head out of their ass, a lot of them, because they need to see also what sells internationally well versus what sells well in Japan.
yeah.
And I find it actually pretty cool that he had the balls to leave the cushy job in Capcom. And because he felt like, no, I want to make the Mega Man game that I want. I like this character, and I want to make it. And if you guys, you own the IP, you're basically, Capcom is squatting on the IP, not knowing what to do. And he wants to make Mega Man games, but they're saying, oh, no, we are now focusing, I don't know, on the next Resident Evil or the next Street Fighter or whatever, but we don't care about
Well,
Mega Man really that much.
I think the cancellations happened after he left, so they were still
Oh, okay,
they were still saying. Although I guess what happened is that then everybody lost interest once Keiji Inafune left. So it was maybe it was like an avalanche effect or whatever snowball effect. That's the word I was looking for. Okay.
I think maybe there was also where they had creative differences. And I'm happy that, I mean, I'm not surprised that this game that he wanted to do did so well, the Kickstarter. And that's the thing is where I feel that I hope this game will be really good. It looks great. And honestly, if Capcom would have 2 cents, they would just say, okay, hey, guy, here's a new contract. We'll just make this the new Mega Man game or something. Because this would be like the next generation Mega Man game. And I feel that he's doing it the right way. And Capcom, they're just squatting on the rights at this point. They're just, we don't do anything with it because we don't care about Mega Man anymore. And
all right. I think we need to start wrapping up the podcast. Actually, Kaiser, do you still have something to add to the Mega Man conversation?
No, surprisingly.
Okay. So I think we need to wrap this up. We're going on for a couple of hours already. So I think we need to take another break. When we come back, we'll answer some questions, and then that'll be that. But so we'll be right back after this break. And we're back. We're about ready to wrap up this podcast. It was a very interesting one, but we still have some questions. And the questions came from our old friend T McBee. She sent us 3 questions, and we'll get to answer them now. So T McBee's first question is, what are your thoughts on the upcoming King's Quest game, and will you want to play it once it comes out this year?
It's actually a very good question.
I'm not as familiar with, if people remember from my adventure game podcast, that I'm not actually that familiar with King's Quest. I've played a few of the installments, but I didn't even know that it was coming out this year already. So
yeah, Sierra just basically they used the Sierra name and the IP to make a new company. So for me, it's like, I don't know, it's a new company. It's not the same people, anymore. So I'm kind of worried. It could be good. Like I haven't played every King's Quest game, but it's a series that I have played. The first game was actually the last game, the Mask of Eternity or whatever. I played, and it was a demo. And I knew about the King's Quest series, but then I only got later into them. I played through the first 3, but I actually played through the Super VGA remakes, and they were unofficial ones, but they were really good. And because I have a problem with it's one of the few control methods in gaming that I have a problem with, that I feel has aged really badly, is the typing, typing what you want to do.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is the only one where I'm like, yeah, as long as I can click around, I'm fine. I'm willing to play those games. I just have, it's just for me a little bit tougher because I did play games, text adventures back in the day. But even back then, it was like, okay, I know what I want to do, but I have to find the exact word that they want me to use or something. So it's like, it's a guessing game then. I'm like, Where with the Scum engine, they had the great idea, well, here are all the words that you can use. Go ahead, go crazy. And then, but anyway, I don't know yet what's going to be with this game. It could be cool. We'll see.
Yeah, there's not a release date for it yet. It just says Q3 or Q4 of 2015. But it's gonna come out apparently, like not just on Windows, but also PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, and Xbox One. So that seems interesting. So they're really like getting it all over the place. And it's apparently going to be episodic. They only list two episodes. So I don't know if it's only like split in two the game. But yeah. I don't know. I'm looking. I looked at the page for the Odd Gentleman, who are the actual developers. Sierra is just publishing the game.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and some of their other games include The Misadventures of PB Winterbottom, Slap Happy Sam, and Wayward Manor. So they've mostly done like these very kind of small scale games, downloadables for different consoles and also Windows, but. I don't know. It could be good. Like this new Sierra Entertainment, what their the new company. I'm not sure what other Sierra properties they're working with. Is it just going to be this King's Quest thing? Because I remember the last year, of course, they came out with the Gabriel Knight remake, and that was a really good one. I really liked it. But I know it's not by these people, so I don't know. It could turn out good. Like I hope if it comes close to the quality of the Sins of the Fathers remake, then it could be cool. This isn't a remake. This is more like I guess a reboot and a new game. So I don't know. I think it could be interesting. What about you, Kaiser?
I want to play it and see for myself. Actually, I don't have much to say about this whatsoever, other than I probably will play it.
Yeah, I think it would be a bigger deal if it was a new Monkey Island. I would play the shit out of that. Okay, but thanks for that question. Next question from Team McBee is, what's the most spiciest food that you've ever tried? Which one of you? Who wants to go first?
I'll just go.
Chili. I just
plain chili.
Yep, I had like chili, like they had a scale like hotness scale from like 1 to 10. I had an 8, and well, let's just say when all my family tried it, we were all bawling our eyes out because it was too hot.
Oh, nice. What about you, Darabka?
Definitely, there was this Thai place that I went to, and it was really funny because I ordered some kind of dish, looked good, and they had 3 levels of spicy. Obviously it's usually like mild, and like a little spice, and then kind of medium, and then heavy spice, or like very hot. And it was funny because I said, okay, I could take medium, but I didn't know how spicy Thai food can get.
Yeah.
And I could barely finish the dish, and they were kind of laughing. There was a friend of mine was there, and I was laughing too because it was like, their medium is for other people the high. Also, there's a Vietnam dish. I've actually build my tolerance level up, and there is a Vietnamese, like it's a fusion kind of Asian place, but they have this Vietnamese style soup called bun bok so, and it's really good. It's kind of a broth, and they have a little pepper. It's just a kind of maybe as big as a pinky, kind of like that, very small. And those are always the most dangerous. Anything that is small and unassuming, it's like,
Yeah.
it's bird's eye chili, and apparently it has like, I don't know, like up to like starts at like 100,000 Scoville and stuff. And I remember the way how I eat it now, I chop it up and put it in the soup. And even then, even if I just eat little bits with it, I gotta like drink and like eat it slowly, but I can. One time I remember out of shits and giggles, I had my cousin there, and I told him, I'm going to eat it in whole. So I did. I ate it in whole, and that was pretty ridiculous. It's just pain and pain and pain.
Did you have like the smoke coming out of your ears?
Pretty much.
Yeah. I have a pretty low tolerance for spicy foods myself, so I don't have an interesting answer for this. I mean, I've eaten at a Chinese place several times. I don't remember what was the absolute worst that I've ever had, but put even a little bit of chili or Tabasco sauce or anything in something, and I will basically turn into a water fountain. That's the thing. So, so I don't have a good answer for this because I remember there was something on there was this one Chinese place that I was that I was eating a lot at one point. And I don't remember. There was something that it was on the menu for a really long time, and the food there was amazing. I loved it. But then okay, I gotta try this thing out for one time. But I don't remember what it was. It was something. It did have a little warning about like this is gonna be spicy, and I had it, and then like okay, I'm never having that again. so it was almost immediate that. But I don't remember what it was. It wasn't. I don't think it was what Szechuan sauce or so. No, it was something else probably. But anyway, I just have a pretty low tolerance for spicy foods. I do like them. But I know immediately to prepare with like a tall glass of milk or something because that takes the spiciness off. Yeah.
Milk and bread.
Just remember,
two
the worst.
choices.
Oh no, the worst part about eating chili isn't when it goes in you; it's when it comes out of you.
Yeah.
That's the worst part.
As I always said, it burns twice.
That reminds me of a really bad joke. I don't know. Do you guys want me to tell it because it just reminded this whole conversation reminded me of it. Or should I say that after the podcast? It might get a.
I don't care. Go ahead. I'm saying go ahead.
Okay. So there's 3 gay guys, and their partners die, and they all happen to have them cremated at the same time. So they meet at the crematorium to pick up the ashes, and they each get into a conversation and ask, well, what are you going to do with your beloved's ashes? And one of the guys says, oh, well, my darling, he loved the ocean, so I'm going to go to the beach, going to have one last picnic with him, and then I'm going to spread his ashes into the ocean. And then the second guy says, well, my guy loved going up a mountain, so I'm going to go up the mountain, have a picnic, and I'm going to spread his ashes into the wind. And then the third guy says, well, we loved spicy foods. We really enjoyed that. So I'm going to cook some chili with his ashes so he can make my asshole burn just one last time.
Oh, nice.
I don't know, that might have gotten a little too raunchy.
Not that there's anything wrong. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, not at all. But the important part about that is the build-up with that joke. Okay. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that question. Seemed to be. One last question. I keep saying thank you all the time after every question, but she still has one more. Okay. Okay. Third and last question. Do you get creeped out by talking animals in live-action movies? The ones that have their actual mouths moving. So. Okay, yeah. So this is a kind of a Dr. Dolittle situation, I guess, what we have here. What about you guys? Do you get creeped out by that?
No.
Not really. It's something that they have been doing. Back in the day, it was animated animals, so I feel like it doesn't creep me out, really.
Specifically, live action they were talking about. She was...
Yeah, live action.
Yeah.
Yeah, not really. I think it's something they've been doing even before. I think with I don't know, like, maybe the only time it was creepy, there was this Czechoslovakian adaptation of Alice in Wonderland, where all the animals and creatures were these really creepy stop-motion creatures. And
I mean, you could have stopped it at Czechoslovakian version of Alice in Wonderland.
Pretty much, yes.
Okay, but I think what she means is, like, you remember Dr. Dolittle where they had the dog, like an actual live dog talking, and they had somehow digitally made their mouth move. Yeah, so...
No, but I could see why people would be creeped out of that, you know.
I don't feel it...
Every time...
Yep.
Yeah, instead of Dr. Dolittle, I always think of that one scene from Road Trip, where the old man's staring off his head and he looks at his dog and the dog goes, "Hey, bud, I got the fucking munchies real bad."
And there was hey, yeah.
That was pretty hilarious.
Speaking of Adam Sandler movies, remember Little Nicky? There was the talking dog in that.
Mr. Beefy! Mr. Beefy! Say Mr. Beefy, say it.
Mr. Beefy? Like, I remember the dog in Men in Black.
Yeah, the pup. Yeah, that I love that dog.
That was also a
it's
pug,
weird.
But, yeah.
It's weird. I seem to find that more adorable than creepy.
Yeah. And did you remember? Have either of you ever watched the Men in Black animated series?
I've seen it. Yeah, I remember when. Oh, I remember when he actually got out of his costume. He just looked like a pug.
Yeah,
with like I think purple skin and little antenna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. I like that because it was a good joke that he's almost looks the same, but he still needed a costume because he just looked alien enough for people to be weirded out.
What was that character called? I'm so
Frank
the Pug. Yeah.
Yeah.
God damn it, Frank. Especially like his introduction in the first movie, like when Will Smith goes like, "Oh, that has got to be the worst costume I've ever seen." He's talking about the guy standing in the newsstand, and Frank goes, "If you don't like it, you can kiss my furry little butt."
Yep. That was great.
Awesome moment. I love the Men in Black movies. So yeah, I guess none of us really get creeped out. I was trying to think about another film series, or it's a pair of movies, which had a cat, a dog, and wasn't a third animal.
Homeward Bound.
Yeah, that
wasn't it. Homeward Bound.
Yeah, but those animals, their mouths didn't move. It was like somehow they talk like telepathically or something. So
yeah, they
Mr. Ed, the horse, Mr. Ed.
Well, Mr. Ed is kind of like a classic example, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, his mouth moves.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Oh god, that just reminded me. There was this stand-up comedian. What's his name? It'll come to me, but he had this great thing about like he hated children's books. He said like he can't stand children's books, like how condescending they are, like and then that's the most craziest example. He goes like the horse says nay, and he says horses don't say nay, they say Wilbur. But what's that comedian? It'll come to me. It's the same guy with the escalator. Something changed. That guy. I don't remember. But anyway, I guess we don't really get creeped out by that, but I guess you can get creeped out. Usually when they do it in movies, they usually do a pretty good job of it. So there's not usually like it's not like it's it's I can't remember an example where it was done like really badly or anything. So yeah.
With those mouth movements, the thing that actually creeps me out is when they do it for babies, like demonic babies.
Oh, yeah.
And that's only...
Yeah.
An example for that is Son of the Mask.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, and I don't want to really, but...
Don't! I regret
it's a sequel to a Jim Carrey movie that doesn't have Jim Carrey in it. That's usually a bad sign.
Yep.
Just like, yeah. I remember going to a video store one day and I saw Ace Ventura 3. No.
Oh boy, yeah. I've heard about Ace Ventura 3. Oh man. But anyway, thanks for those questions, T McBee, and that wraps up this White Devil podcast. I want to thank Darabka for being here again. Always a pleasure having you on, and it's also nice that you finally got to talk about those topics that you so desperately wanted to talk about.
Yeah. It's always nice to being on the show, and thank you for inviting me.
All right,
it's a fun time.
Probably gonna have you back again we gotta do that He-Man podcast again at some point.
Oh yeah. We gotta do He-Man.
And also thank you for my thanks to my co-host RetroKaiser again. Job well done.
Yep.
Yep. And that's a goodbye from me and from my guests here at White Devil Podcast. See you on the next one. Say bye, guys.
Bye-bye for the Death Mug of Doom.